60 yards.
That's what it sounded like last night on ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN.
Welcome back, buddy. Welcome back, buddy. You look like you got a nice tan from up northeast.
It was like 65 degrees most days.
That's from here.
You smell like pine trees, though.
Yeah, dude. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. Vermont, highly recommend. We went up to a brewery called Hill Farmstead, one of the best places I've ever been to. Ate way too much.
Oh, yeah. How much molasses did they put in everything?
Really? Not as much as you think. Well, maple sausage is a big thing up there.
Oh, yeah. Not a fan.
Really?
Not a fan of maple sausage.
Really?
Yeah, I just like the normal sausage.
Big fan.
Big fan of that. We drank a lot of beer. Lot of beer.
Nice.
Way to go, man. High five.
Brought a lot home. So
you brought beer home? You can't transfer that over the border walls.
Shipped it, obviously.
No, you brought it with you, didn't you?
Obviously shipped it. But yeah, everything was great. Appreciate you guys holding things down for me here. We're not going to mention the Chiefs game at all.
Oh, don't worry. We took care of that yesterday.
Talking about that. Shout out to the Missouri Tigers. Big win for them over the weekend. Looked fantastic. We are going to begin, though, with the Chargers, who, my God, man. All right. Jim Harbaugh, year 2. This thing's getting figured out. Justin Herbert was the headliner last night. I know they only scored 20 points. That offense looked like it could do basically whatever it wanted all game long. Just as they did in week 1 against my sorry-you-know-what Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, they're more on the Raiders side of things, though, than the Chargers side of things.
Herbert looks like a top 5, conservatively speaking, quarterback in the NFL. We always knew he had this kind of potential. It was a matter of him going out there and showing it to us. Defense looks awesome. Dude, Derwin James looks rejuvenated out there. He looks like the guy that we saw 2 or 3 years ago prior to all of the injuries. What have you made of the Chargers and what they have been able to do thus far? 2-0 start, effectively a 3-game lead in the AFC West over the Kansas City Chiefs.
They look like the 3rd best team in the AFC right now. And I think what I'm making of this is I didn't give them enough credit for what they were building. Because last year you saw it, but it was the typical Harbaugh offense where it was like, look, Herbert's still inconsistent. It's just a run-heavy game, and it's going to rely on that. Now, they've found some fun weapons on the running side. But, man, I mean, Justin Herbert looks like he's playing at an MVP level right now, which is just something I haven't been able to take into consideration. So when I go through that AFC, there's a lot of sorry teams right now that aren't fun to watch, your Chiefs included. I think the 3 best teams right now in the AFC are Buffalo, Baltimore, and the Chargers up there, which means the Chargers probably going to win that division and are most likely, no, they're going to win that division. We all saw that Rams team, or the Chiefs team, sorry, not the Rams team.
Well, they're going to win their division,
the other LA team. Well, I don't know about that one either, but we've all seen the other teams in the AFC right now. The 3 that look like it's going to be hard to stop are Bills, Ravens, and Chargers, and a lot of this is because of Herbert.
Yeah, watching the Chargers last night, I think I agree. They're probably the leader of that second tier. I don't think they're there with Baltimore, Buffalo, but I do think they are the ones that are going to be the team that ends up winning the AFC West this year. And that's not me saying, like, hey, it's all complete panic in KC. There should be some concern there. But I think when you look at the LA Chargers, they've been able to kind of get off with this fast start. They're taking advantage while the Chiefs are kind of searching for answers while they're without their top 2 wide receivers. The Chargers are 2-0, and as BK said, they've got the 3-game lead as of right now because of the tiebreaker where they hold the head-to-head, and they look legit. And the reason I was down on them coming into the year, I hated watching them last year because all they did was run the football, right? It was, hey, we're going to run it down your throat, or like showing you what the Iowa offense looks like from college up to the NFL pros, and they've like completely changed. And they have gone to, hey, Justin Herbert's going to be the guy, right? He ends up throwing that ball 27 times last night. You had Hampton and Harris have 16 total carries. They did nothing on the ground, those 2. Herbert led them in rushing, and they were throwing the ball while they were up late trying to eat out the clock because they trust Herbert that much. He looks healthy. He looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. To me, they are the ones that are going to end up winning the AFC West.
They might. They very well may. We're just so early, man. It's still only 2 weeks. I also feel like we got a few texts talking about Roman and what he's done offensively as the OC for the Chargers this year. I think we're seeing, like, Herbert's just healthy. Herbert just clearly was never healthy. He did not look like this at any point in time last year. And I think that was influencing the way that they were calling these games. Man, when teams get off to a hot start, it gets really exciting. We've seen this before. We saw it last year. I think the Saints got off to a 2-0 start last year, if I remember correctly. A couple of years ago, we've seen this with some other teams where it's like, oh, hot damn. Like the Colts. Colts are this right now. I have no idea if that team's actually good. No idea. I would probably bet against it. The Chargers feel more real. The thing that makes me a little anxious is they do still have some warts. One, their running game has been terrible through 2 weeks, and that is against a Raiders defense last night, which I have very little faith in. Two, they do have a lot of injury-plagued players. On the defensive side of the ball, I mentioned Derwin James. Is he going to be able to be this all year? Because he's been a monster through 2 weeks. Can you play this style where you're taking on offensive guards as a safety for a 17-game regular season and hold up and be as effective in week 12 as you are in week 2? I don't know, man. I hope so, because it's fun as hell to watch him play this style, but I'm not sure that that's realistic. Khalil Mack, I don't know what happened to his elbow last night. That didn't look good.
He's fine.
Good.
He'll be fine.
You can play in a sling.
Quentin Johnston, can he do this? Because if he can...
Keenan Allen, can you do this?
Yeah, if these things all remain as currently constructed...
But you can't really play the injury game, because I could do that for a lot of teams. And I understand what you're saying.
Sure, but these like, Johnston isn't an injury thing. It's a can you actually catch the ball consistently thing. Because he has through 2 weeks. Do I think it's going to continue for 15 more? I don't really know.
I think the real thing for the Chargers offensively, you're absolutely correct, because Quentin Johnson was a disaster last year because I had him on a fantasy team, and every time he'd be dropping footballs in the end zone. But last year, it was McConkey and Johnson. They didn't have the other option of Keenan Allen. And I know Keenan Allen is like 55 years old out there, but it spreads the offense a little bit more.
No doubt.
And
if
now
he stays healthy and he looks like this, they have an extra weapon. That's a huge deal.
And I'm sure they're going to deal with injuries at some point. Everyone does. Its real question is, are you going to be healthy on the back end of the season? If you do your due diligence early on and build up some stock, like Tebow mentioned, you're essentially got that 3-game lead right now on the Chiefs. Be healthy at the end of the season. The bigger thing, too, is just Justin Herbert. Like, I've always known he's got the ability to escape danger. But, man, in 2 weeks, I mean, he led them in rushing last night, which isn't a lot because Hampton and Harris couldn't do anything.
Herbert and Mahomes leading their team.
Which is just kind of telling in itself. But once again, he gets into danger and he escapes it fluently. And before, it's been, but when the pocket crashes, Herbert crumbles.
Because he's been hurt. And now he looks healthy. Can he stay healthy? That's another question for them. All of this is to say, I think the Chargers are really good. I think the Chargers, through 2 weeks, have been one of the top 3 teams that I've seen. They look awesome on both sides of the football, and they got tested in week 1 by what I still think is a pretty good Kansas City Chiefs team. We'll get into that later on. But last night was just, that is what you should do against the Las Vegas Raiders. Geno was willing to try some stuff. That guy is a gunslinger in every sense of the word. And yesterday you saw what it looks like when you live and die by those 50-50 balls. Against this defense, if you're going to play that way, they're going to make you pay. The other thing they do is they are a bend, don't break defense. That drive that the Raiders had, I think it was early fourth quarter, it was like 17 plays, 7 minutes, and then they end up getting the 3 out of it. That's so devastating as a team. It is so demoralizing where you're like, we're moving the ball. Yeah, but it's 3.5 yards a clip. So you're getting these first downs. You're racking them up. You don't have time to do it this way. And then the Chargers would get the ball and it's 10 yards, 16 yards, 7 yards. They're just chunking you to death. So it does feel very different watching their offense versus somebody else going up against their defense right now. You look across the league, there just aren't that many teams that have been super impressive so far. I think the Bucs looked pretty good last night, but that's now back-to-back weeks where it's been a very close call against okay opponents.
That's one of those teams, to your point of the Chargers, can you do this all season? Tampa, you can't do this all season.
The Packers have been amazing. Yeah. They look the part of a Super Bowl contender. I think the Eagles look more fragile this year. Their offense has zero explosiveness to it right now. The Chargers have looked great. The Ravens, I think, are really, really good, and they had a 1-game sample where they imploded. And the Bills are really good. To me, those are your top 5 teams in one order or another in the NFL right now. And I'm not sure who the argument would be for anybody that I didn't just mention.
No, that's it. We went through it yesterday. I'm still high on the Eagles. I think they're the team that can flip the switch when they need to, but I can understand the hesitancy early on. But to me, it's the Bills, it's the Ravens, it's the Chargers. I'd put the Rams in this conversation, and that's about it. Oh, and the Packers. The Packers are elite. Like that. That's about it. Everybody else, all of these teams in the NFC that I felt like, oh, man, you're just not going to get in. I think 3 of the 4 teams in the NFC North might be posers this year. Lions, I'm still waiting on because I think that offense is high-powered. Agreed. I don't trust 2 of the 3 teams that are 2-0 in the NFC West right now. And the Commanders, it didn't look so good in week number 2, and the Cowboys are a joke, and we saw that with the Giants. So I think you got 2 teams in the NFC, and that's about it.
We'll get into your what the hell.
Don't worry. We'll get that one. We'll
I
get into it.
I heard your analysis of it.
We'll get into it.
I agree with everybody that was on that list for you. I think there are a couple teams that are like on that fringe, and you're going to get
Chiefs
answers
and the Rams,
about
I
them.
agree.
No, not the Chiefs. My God, man.
They might be 1-5 to start the year.
And they'll probably
might be 2-6 with like
I
that
told you
Giants
guys
team.
this last week. I don't know why people were surprised by the result over the weekend, as they had the corpse of Hollywood Brown trotting around out there as their number one receiving
He looked
option.
good in week 1 when he
They
got those
stink.
18 passes.
I think the two teams that the jury is still out on to potentially move into this top tier. I agree on the Lions because I want to see it against like not the Bears, and then I think the other one is the Rams. And the reason I say the Rams are on the fringe and not there yet, even though they've started 2-0. What does your defense look like when you go up against a good team? Which we'll find out this week when they visit the Eagles, because we've seen, the Texans O-line not good, so they
bad.
They made the Rams defense look great.
Poor
and then they
CJ
went up
Stroud.
against a rookie in the Titans who are just had a talent deficiency. So the Eagles will be the game that really tell you if the Rams belong.
It's been a fun start to the NFL season. We'll continue talking about that throughout the day today. 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. You can check us out on YouTube as well at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. For Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. In 15 minutes, we'll get to our football pick'em reveal. A pretty good week overall for the three of us in our pick'em. We'll get into that in 15 minutes. But next, we'll talk about the Cardinals. Nolan Arenado was back yesterday. Does he have enough time to change the narrative? Not for you, the Cardinals fans, but maybe for other front offices around the league that are looking at what he could be for them. We'll talk about that next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here to tell you about my friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, which is coming soon here to the Show Me State. Starting November 17th, you can create your DraftKings Sportsbook account here in Missouri and get ready for launch day on December 1st. As new Missouri customers can download that DraftKings Sportsbook app today, and when we go live, place just a $5 bet to unlock $300 in bonus bets. DraftKings Sportsbook brings everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when we officially go live here in Missouri, you'll be betting with a sportsbook app trusted by millions. Safe, secure, and has fast money withdrawals. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live December 1st in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance.
Herbert launches downfield. It's done.
This one served into left center field, a base hit. Contreras around third. Hayes loads up. His throw is going to be late. Welcome back, Nolan Arenado. An RBI hit on the first pitch.
That's what it sounded like last night on FanDuel Sports Midwest, and a little bit of ESPN there as well. T-Bone's a little rusty. He's enjoyed my chair over the last few days.
Yeah,
well, my
like
chair. I've enjoyed your chair.
Oh, you sat here?
I move over there. That's the pilot seat.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like that.
I feel like this stresses people out if I'm driving, sitting here, messes up Bradford.
Now this is the spot that every driver sits in.
Except when I do pre and post. When I do pre and post, I stay here.
That makes sense.
It's just me and Grant. I'm
Sure.
comfortable. Grant's comfortable, so I don't move around. But yeah, that's the pilot seat. So T-Bone takes the co-pilot seat.
Out of curiosity, as you were piloting this ship over the last 3 days, 3 shows, how much Cardinals did you guys talk?
Oh man, I avoided those like those blinking lights on top of towers. We got to make sure you avoid them. I was avoiding them left and right.
Yeah.
One segment on Friday.
This segment right here is going to tie for the amount of Cardinal segments we did yesterday.
One segment Friday, one segment yesterday, and I think we only did one on Thursday too because we were at Centene.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we didn't even do one.
Thursday.
Yeah. Very little. It's hockey season, baby.
That's fair. We'll be out at Centene tomorrow.
It's fair. BK's back, and he says, let's talk Cardinals.
Start of the Blues season unofficially, and then the next day, the start of training camp officially, as we will be out at Centene each of the next 3 days on BK and Ferrario. However, we're not out there yet, which means we will continue discussing the St. Louis Cardinals in at least some capacity here on the show. Arenado comes back last night, goes 2 for 4, has the RBI. It doesn't matter. They lose 11-6. The bullpen imploded, the whole thing, Yesterday, Alex, I was reading the pieces that were, chronicling what happened in the Cardinals game. And they're like, Cardinals really need to start developing some other arms in their bullpen. I'm like, man, I don't have it in me to really care too much.
Just their bullpen, huh? Just their bullpen.
We have like a week and a half left of the season. Yeah. If that's the thing that they're really worried about, hey, they should be worried about everything. They should consider all of these different things. It is not something that I can get overly anxious about.
What I learned about from the game last night was minor league stats don't matter because Arenado did nothing in AA and then comes up and does that.
So can he do anything over the next couple of weeks while he's here that you think changes the narrative of you're another GM, you're thinking about trading or signing for a third baseman this offseason. Arenado's going to come at a much reduced price from his $35 million. Say it's $15 million over each of the next couple of seasons that you'd have to pay for Arenado. Can he convince you, if you're another GM, this is the guy that you should be going out there looking to acquire?
Nope, nothing.
Okay.
He's exactly what I've seen him over the last few years. The offense has declined. The defense is really good, and he's a guy that can play. I mean, if I'm a team that has a glaring hole at third base, and that's what's keeping me from being a World Series champion, a defensive first third base, then I'm going to trade for Arenado because if he's what gets me over the hump, I'll trade for him. But I'm not going to see what you do for the last 2 weeks of the season and be like, oh, there's the power we were missing, or, oh, there he is, he's better defensively, or now he's healthy. No, teams know what he is. He's an aging player. You saw it for the last 2 seasons. I think it is what it is, and it's just going to be a matter of does a team come calling that is desperate for a third baseman that falls under the umbrella of what Arenado wants?
Yeah, I think I lean towards no, there's nothing he can do because in 12 games, that's such a small sample size that we've seen even non-big leaguers get hot at the major league level for a 12-game sample size. The one thing that does make me wonder about it, though, is if he does slug, if he does show some power, can at least convince somebody out there that, boy, that shoulder was really what the issue was. But the reason that I don't really buy that is, okay, well, this is the second straight year where the slugging percentage is below 400. So, I don't think it was really just the shoulder that led to all this. So, I don't think there is anything that he can do over the final 12 games that's going to suddenly make teams interested in Nolan Arenado.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement with both of you. I don't think there's a whole lot that he can change the narrative here. I think it's just about getting healthy. I don't think he can really change the production. It's about availability. Can you be a guy that another team can count on? And you can't necessarily prove that over a 2-week stretch. That's more of a, hey, we're trading for you for 6 months. You're going to be able to hold up over that stretch of time because this is not the first time that we've seen this. Now, he's played through some of the pain over the last few seasons, but he has had some nagging injuries, whether it's a back issue or a shoulder or an elbow. He's talked in the past about how he changes his routine based upon whether or not he's feeling good. And apparently that is something that led to this again this season. So that would worry me if I'm another team trading for Arenado. I would also add this, though. I think Arenado can still be a contributor for one of these teams that's good. And if he's coming at a reduced rate, you get Gold Glove caliber defense, roughly a league average bat. I think the real question that I would have if I'm another GM is, can he hit for the average again? I don't expect the slugging percentage to come around. But if I'm another team and I'm trading for Arenado, I'm not trading for Hall of Fame in his prime, 30 homer, 100 RBI every season Nolan Arenado. I'm trading for Gold Glove defense. I'm basically trading for, God, why am I blanking on his name? Pirates third baseman.
Brian Hayes.
That's what I'm hoping to get. But 35 years old, reduced cost, only a couple of years, stopgap.
Yeah, and I think teams know who that is. Like, again, like the Astros made the most sense this past offseason, and I don't know if they're in that same boat this year. They might not be going into this offseason, but there's going to be a team that sees third base as their weakness and says, we need Arenado. That's not the problem. Nothing's going to change there. The problem is that team who Nolan Arenado wants to go to? And that will never change unless Arenado changes his opinions.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that there is somebody out there that will look at him and say, yeah, we need that guy. Because, sure, you're getting Gold Glove defense at third base, but third base isn't a position you look at and say,
I mean, the Reds did.
And look at the Reds. Like, I thought the Reds made a mistake. Like, I think the Reds should not have acquired Brian Hayes and bailed out the Pirates of that move.
I think we give teams too much credit.
Well, that's fair.
I think in general, teams at times make decisions that don't make a lot of sense to us on the outside. And I think somebody will probably make this decision with Arenado where they say, we trust him. We know the defense is going to be great. If we can get him to roughly league average offensively, which is not that far from where he is currently, by the way, this season. He's below league average, yes, but not by as much of a margin as I think a lot of people would expect. I think he can be a contributor towards a legit World Series contending team, but it requires so much from the rest of your offense. It requires it to be like the Phillies, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Diamondbacks, those kinds of teams. I think somebody in that realm would probably be interested in Arenado this offseason. But the starting point, once again, goes back to, are the Cardinals willing to eat the money? Because that is a non-negotiating factor. Like, they have got to take on most of what is remaining on his contract if they're going to make this kind of a move.
And I think to Alex's point, who is Arenado willing to go to? Because I think some of the contenders,
That's
you
fair.
say there are organizations that, like, they do things that we can't really explain. Yeah, I would say a lot of those are some of the organizations that aren't playoff teams. The Reds, one of them. Right, I don't think the Reds are that great of a run organization. I think your true contenders are pretty well run in baseball today. Now, Dombrowski does some crazy stuff, but outside of him, like, even him, I don't think would look at it and say, yeah, we need a Nolan Arenado. And that's where it comes down to if Arizona calls, for example, and says, hey, like, let's continue to try this. Let's bring in an Arenado. Is he willing to go to a team that's not a perennial contender? Because I don't think a perennial contender is calling for Arenado services. I think it's one of those fringe playoff teams that might be looking at him saying, that's the guy we can use that can help upgrade us at the corner.
Yeah, I think you're only talking about a handful of teams. I think, and Houston's fallen out of that. Like, I don't know what the Yankees' motivation is, but they obviously need help on that left side of the infield. They've got the offense. Do you need defense? But the problem is,
there's a few. Like Seattle, I think could make some sense for him.
I think they just signed Suarez.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think they'd rather just keep Suarez.
Maybe that we know that's a team though that operates on a very like strict budget. I don't know that they're going to be able to re-sign Suarez this offseason. So if they don't and they have to look elsewhere, all right, well, maybe he makes some sense for them. I don't know. But you look around, I think, T-Bone, what you said there is the operative key here. Is he willing to go? And I think at this point, I would have to imagine at least, maybe I'm wrong on this, you've got to assume that he's willing to go basically anywhere, right? Anywhere that he thinks that has a real chance to win.
I don't know, because I would have thought that he would have expanded the list this year.
I don't think that's going to change. I think
he's happy. I think at minimum here he's happy that his family is settled.
Family is priority for Nolan Arenado, which I'm not bashing at all. I mean, if I was him, my priority would be family as well. I don't think that's going to change in a matter of one offseason. Maybe a trade changes at the deadline next year, but how often do you see something like that get moved? But yeah, I mean, unless I hear otherwise, I'm not sold on the fact that he's willing to go somewhere different because family is the most important thing.
As of today, do you think Nolan Arenado will be a St. Louis Cardinal in 2026?
I do.
I do as well.
I do not. I think Arenado will be elsewhere, but
if he's elsewhere,
how confident are you in that answer? It's like I would say 80%. I feel is my answer on he's still here.
I don't know how you can bring him back. I don't see any value in having him.
To be fair, I didn't see how you could bring him back this year, and he was back.
At least this season, I could see them. They tried to sell us that they were going to win. Why was Ryan Helsley here this year? Well, because they thought they would potentially win. Why was Eric Fetty here this year? Well, because they thought they were potentially going to win. Why was Miles Michaelis here this year? Because they thought they could potentially win. Like they weren't willing to eat money, and they thought they were potentially going to win. And when you have those two factors, Arenado's back. Next year, I don't think that they believe they're going to win. And he's blocking some of their young players. So not only is there no value in him being here, there's also actually value in just having him go away. And that wasn't necessarily the case for them this season. Sonny, I think, is a different conversation. He's not blocking anybody. Somebody has to pitch for you next year, and there's nobody that is obviously going to take that spot into the rotation. So I think he might need to be back next year.
I could kind of argue that Arenado's not blocking anybody anymore after Gorman's fall over these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, but you've still got some factor of Wilson Contreras, Alec Burleson, Nolan Gorman, Brendan Donovan, Mason Wynn, J.J. Weatherholt. Did I miss anybody?
So JC.
I don't think he falls into this.
Sure, but the 7 guys for those 4.
Burleson's an outfielder. Herrera's probably an outfielder.
Herrera, too. But between DH first and those other positions that I just mentioned, I do think he's blocking something.
Donovan's already trade bait for him. Like I think if there was a scenario where Arenado wasn't here, like if I was leaning towards your camp, it's not via trade. It's via the Cardinals saying we're just getting rid of him.
Curb stomp. Arenado has no value. Are you kidding me? Outrageous. Yeah, man, I'm sorry that, if the Cardinals trade Nolan Arenado this offseason, it will be a salary dump. Mm-hmm. They either will probably have to eat a good amount of the salary, I think that's a non-negotiable, or maybe both, trade an asset with him to get rid of less of his salary. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's
like send Walker with him.
Truth.
That also has no value.
I don't know that would be I don't think
Newt Donovan is who you're sending with him.
Exactly. And then he carries.
Sorry to burst people's bubble.
Yeah, I was thinking the Kelenic trade where they traded Gonzalez as a salary dump.
Yeah, that was
Kelenic wasn't very good.
People like pitchers, though.
They had Marco, though.
That's what I'm saying. Marco was a part of it. He was the salary dump because he was hurt.
Yeah,
but
like
there was still upside.
$15 million.
Yeah, we're still upside.
Yeah, we'll round down.
He's T-Bone. That's Alex. I'm BK. Football Pick'em reveal next. Hey, it's time to unlock your inner champion. The place to do so is with Victory Men's Health. I've been telling you about them for a few years now on the station. They have done it for me. They can do it for you. Victory Men's Health is the place where you go to unlock that inner champion. That can mean different things for different people. For some, that might mean weight loss goals that you're trying to meet. For others, maybe it's low testosterone symptoms, erectile dysfunction. Maybe you went on a long trip. You had a lot of fun while you were out there, and you're like, you know what? It is time for some vitamin infusions. Let's go ahead and get out there to Victory Men's Health. They can help you out with that. You can check out all that they have to offer at victorymenshealth.com. That's victorymenshealth.com. And when you get over there, you'll book that first appointment at any of their 4 great locations across the St. Louis area: O'Fallon, Illinois, O'Fallon, Missouri, Sunset Hills, and my personal location in Town and Country. When you book that first appointment, all you have to do, put in your name, email, phone number, tell them BK with 101 ESPN sent you, and then tell them what it means for you to unlock your inner champion. It's all available for you today at Victory Men's Health and online at victorymenshealth.com.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Auto Plex. Cardinals fell to the Cincinnati Reds last night, and game 2 of their 3-game set will be this evening. 6:45 will be first pitch. Michael McGreevy will be on the mound for the Cardinals. Andrew Abbott will get the start for Cincinnati. The Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Auto Plex. CMLondoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it is time for our football pick'em reveal. I was not here last week, but I was able to get my picks in for you guys, and you made fun of most of them, as I would have anticipated.
Because I was going to make the picks for you.
I also did really well in the Fast Lane Pick'em Challenge.
Oh, yeah? You made up for last week?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I think I finished with the most points out of the Fast Lane guys.
Humble brag.
Yeah, no big deal, but, you know, when 50-50 games go against you, you can't say that you're the worst in the world, and this week 50-50 games went in
Just so
favor
you're
of me,
aware,
not the best in the world.
they've all reached out to me and Tanner and asked us to be a part so they can kick you out.
I told them last week, if you guys want to DFA me after week 2, if it goes poorly again, I understand it. We can go with somebody else.
Man, he did the week 2 disclaimer. That's awful. We would have been in, T-Bone.
All right, let's get into the football pick'em reveal. Let's begin with Alex's picks from this week. As you can probably imagine, he went with a lot of NFL selections.
I am going with the Falcons plus 3.5 against the Vikings on the road for my 1-point play. Here's my thought process. J.J. McCarthy looked awful in 3 quarters. He looked great in 1 quarter in a game that I think he just took advantage of a Bears team that just became a disaster. I don't think that's the Falcons.
And Algier walks into the end zone for the game's first touchdown.
Well done. I like that pick.
I was very nervous making it because I'm like, of course, I'm going to ish on J.J. McCarthy, and he's going to go out and do what he did in the 4th quarter, all 4. But no, I was correct. Minnesota does not have a quarterback.
They don't have a quarterback, and Atlanta's decent.
Yeah.
They're decent. They've got a really good running game. The defense is pretty good, and Penix makes a few throws a game that make you go, wow, and that's enough for them right now when they go up against average opponents. Now, they're going to need more than that, but for the time being, they look pretty good. Nice 1-point play.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to your 2-point play, Alex.
2-point play for me, sticking in the NFL. I am going with the Cincinnati Bengals, minus 3.5. Here's my thought process. You're in Cincinnati. As much as Jacksonville looked great in week number 1, I still don't trust Trevor Lawrence. Now, Bengals have an awful defense, but to me that tells me this is going to be a shootout, and I will put all of my money in Joe Burrow in that offense.
3rd down, Browning to the air. Higgins bumps, doesn't matter. Touchdown, Bengals.
The one that I should have said is I'm going to put all of my faith in Jackson Browning to carry me to victory.
Jake, but yes, close
Jackson.
enough. I don't know what to do with Jags, man. You guys know this was my team coming into the season. I said somebody has to win this godforsaken division in the AFC South.
Put your face in Daniel Jones.
The Jags had no business losing that game.
No.
Nope.
Joe Burrow goes down relatively early. You've got Jackson or Jake Browning coming into the game. He throws multiple interceptions. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. They should be better than this, but you get the pick nonetheless.
Yeah, that one. The moment Burrow walked off, I'm like, cool, lost my 2-point play. I stopped watching that game, and then later I found out with the update at the final result what it was.
All right, Alex, your 3-point play?
My 3-point play, big spread. But when I saw it, I said this is going to be an easy win for me. Detroit taking down Chicago, minus 6.5. Guess who was awful in week 1? Caleb Williams in that offense. Guess who was awful in week 1? Detroit's offense and defense. I think this is the game that Detroit takes all of the people that were doubting in week 1 and says, oh no, they're good.
4th and goal, fake to Montgomery.
Too easy.
To St. Brown, into the end zone. His 3rd touchdown today.
Yeah. That one I didn't care about by the second half, or by the second quarter. I was like, yeah, this is over.
I don't know what to do with the Bears either. They look terrible, man. Absolutely terrible.
They don't got a quarterback, man. If you don't got a quarterback, you don't got a good team.
But it goes well beyond that. They don't have good anything.
Yeah.
They had a defense that was impressive in week 1. Now, McCarthy also looked pretty poor, so I guess that's other side of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it did look impressive. Now that I've seen the Vikings play a second week, I think it actually might have been no, your defense is bad, and you allowed the Vikings to look competent, and then they got destroyed against the Detroit Lions. This Bears team is in a bad spot right now. I actually, believe it or not, I thought Caleb was the bright spot this week for them.
Oh.
And that speaks to how bad everything else was.
They don't have a running game. They don't
Lions.
have a defense. They don't. I mean, the play calling is skilled, but they're not completing the thought process from Ben Johnson because Caleb Williams is awful when he gets under pressure.
All right, is that a 3-for-3 week again for you?
No, last week I got 2 or 3.
Okay,
Last week I 1 point play.
Yeah, I'm a 1 point play. I missed.
God, Alex is running away with this thing. He has 11 points through the first 2 weeks. Just an absolute heater that he is on. T-Bone would be going crazy with talking about how he's the greatest picker in the history of picks.
I know better than that.
Yeah.
Luck in first 2 weeks.
Alex has been here before. All right, T-Bone, let's get to your 1 point play.
My 1 point play, I'm going to the NFL. I've now been able to see every team. Didn't really help me in the college slate last week. Give me the Eagles, -1.5. They look like a dominant team. I just cannot buy into that Chiefs offense. Fly, Eagles, fly.
There's Barkley right side, sprinting through the hole. Saquon Barkley is in. Touchdown, Philadelphia.
Good pick. I told you guys last week I liked the Eagles. I picked them in our Fastlane Pick'em Challenge. Yeah, that was an easy one to me.
Yeah, I had no hesitation. I wish I would have made it a little higher a pick.
2 point play.
You know, Mahomes always scares me enough to make me hesitant.
Especially at home.
Yeah, so that's why I went with like a 1 point play. And I think you said like it's only the second or third time in his career, second time, that he had been an underdog at home. So that made me even a little bit more worried. But still, I felt like the Eagles were just that much better.
Yep.
Especially this version of the Chiefs. The thing that I think people are missing on the Chiefs right now, and I do think it is important context to keep in mind, this is not what the Chiefs will look like starting in Week 6. When they get Rashee Rice back and Xavier Worthy back, the offense is going to look far different. Now, they've got a lot of problems. This is not a team that I'm like overly excited about, but guys, we weren't excited about the 2024 Chiefs either. People hated watching that team for good reason. They were not a fun team to watch. Guess where they went? They went to the Super Bowl. So I think the death of the Kansas City Chiefs, people just throwing dirt on their grave immediately upon them losing to the Eagles, that's strange to me. I've been a little surprised by how many people are willing and able to do that right now. But yeah, they've got a lot of really significant problems right now, especially for the first 6 weeks. The first 6 weeks are going to be rough for the Chiefs, but we knew that coming in. I said, could they go like 2-4 here? That seems very realistic. Guess what? They're probably going to go 2-4 in the first 6 weeks.
You're really going to need a hug when they lose to the G-Men this weekend.
Oh, my
Now,
God.
if that happens, then we've got bigger conversations to have. But, I mean, the first 7 weeks of the season, you got the Giants on the road, you got the Jaguars on the road, you got the Raiders at home. You should win those 3 games. If you do that, you're 3-4 coming out of the first 7 weeks, and you put yourself in a position to make it to the playoffs again. All right, T-Bone, your 2 point play is also in the AFC West.
My 2 point play, I'm sticking with the NFL. And look, one team was really impressive last week. The one that I'm selecting, though, wasn't, and that is the Broncos, -1.5 at the Indianapolis Colts. Look, the Broncos offense kind of sleptwalk through that game against the Tennessee Titans. I think Sean Payton's going to get things figured out. They should be able to take care of business, and it's only a 1.5 line, so it doesn't really scare me. They should be able to win by at least a field goal, and I'm not buying Danny Dime.
With no time left, this for the win. Spencer Schrader. It's good, and the Colts have won.
That's a rough one.
And they missed a 60-yard field goal that they settled for, and they took a foul. That was a bad beat.
Week 2, I still stand corrected. Bo Picks.
Full disclosure, I didn't see much of this game.
Broncos
I
look
did
like
see the
crap.
ending. I did not see much of this game. What happened?
So the Broncos kind of sleptwalk again.
Okay.
You know, offensively, they're not doing a lot. Bo Picks, as he said it. The Broncos don't look impressive defensively. They don't look like a dominant force. And then, like, the Colts kind of bailed them out by settling for a 60-yard field goal. And I mean, truly settling for a 60-yard field goal to win
I did see the end.
And then that leverage happened. But yeah, the Broncos, like, Bo Nix just looks terrible. Defensively, they don't look right. I don't know what to make of them. I've not been impressed with them through the first 2 weeks.
Did they lose any significant pieces on defense this offseason?
No.
That's why everybody was saying
That was the selling
best
point
defense in the NFL.
That was the selling point on everyone, and it's 2 weeks now that they haven't been able to stop either offenses, which is just wild to say.
So do we think that this was about the Colts or about Broncos? Because it's like Jonathan Taylor looks amazing so far this season.
Yeah.
He looks like a different player. And Daniel Jones, I guess maybe Indianapolis has a good scheme and a good situation. And Anthony Richardson was the problem all along, I suppose. I mean, I guess that's what I have to sell if I'm going to try to buy into this team, right?
I mean,
I guess.
Daniel Jones has looked good both through the air, and he has been versatile in terms of another running back that could score touchdowns.
Yeah.
I think this is more. I personally believe this is more on the Broncos.
Okay.
Because their first game was a win against Miami, who looks like they're going to fire their coach. So
Yeah, well,
You think?
that's happening. All right, your 3-point play was on the college side of things.
my 3-point play, you said it when we came into the segment. Boy, I should have trusted the Illini to be my 3-point play last week. They look like a playoff team, and they're playing a nobody from the MAC this weekend. Give me the Illinois Fighting Illini minus 27.5 at home against Western Michigan. When you're a playoff team, you dominate these kind of games.
Now to throw instead. He scans, directs traffic, rolls right, end zone, touchdown.
Speaking of sleepwalking.
Yeah.
Dominate in the second half, I should have said.
All right, they took care of business. They won 38-0. Those are the kinds of games that don't read too much into it. Were you freaking out yesterday about that?
Mostly just about the O-line again being dominated in the first half. They were good in the second half, but the O-line's still a big question mark.
That can be a conversation after this week. Wouldn't worry about it. You won 38-0. They did exactly what they were supposed to do
I
against
hold my team to high standards.
You just couldn't run the ball in the first half. You're fine throwing the ball.
Yeah.
All right, so T-Bone goes 2-1, gets his 3-point play and his 1-point play. He has 5 points now through the first couple of weeks of our Pick'em Challenge. Let's get to my plays. I don't know who voiced these, but let's get to my 1-point play.
BK's 1-point play got Arizona plus 1.5 points on K-State.
I looked at this one. The reason I backed out, though, K-State's getting the running back tonight. Edwards is supposed to come back. That's the expectation. If he does, that changes how I view K-State a little bit.
Fake pitch. It's Fafita dancing back to his left. Oh, what a play! Sleight of hand! Magic from Fafita! Ooh-wee!
What a call.
What a call.
I learned my lesson on K-State. They stink. They're bad.
Yeah.
That's a really horrible team. They're lucky to be 1-3. They should not have a win so far on the season. They lucked out against North Dakota. Like, this is a really, really bad football team that might have to bench its quarterback.
Avery Johnson looks terrible. And by the way, I said the running back, he played like 2 snaps.
They benched Will Howard for this guy. They told Will Howard, go away. Will Howard goes on to win a natty.
I couldn't remember who the quarterback was.
Avery Johnson has been one of the worst quarterbacks in the country ever since then.
Yeah, I've got 2 cousins that go to K-State. Let me tell you, they are ready to fire the head football coach.
Oh, that's crazy. He's a good coach, but this has not been a good team at all. All right, let's get to my 2-point play.
2-point play for BK. He is headed to the NFL, and T-Bone, he's taking your Rams. Minus 5.5 points on the road as his 2-point play.
Yeah, I thought about this one. The Rams just looked kind of clunky in that game, and I don't know if that was
scared me.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the Texans defense that did that, or hey, the Rams starters, they don't play. This is just, it's too much for me. 5.5 is a little high.
Stafford tosses, end zone, touchdown, Davante Adams.
All right, that's a W for your boy.
Rams
Work
look
by
awesome.
the Rams.
Yeah, Davante Adams looks awesome is really what you meant.
I should have trusted the Rams. I thought about that game too and got scared away.
Bleep Sean McVay. He took money out of my pocket because you could get Blake Corum a good feel on the field.
Yeah, don't pick him up in fantasy this week.
All right, my 3-point play. Let's take a listen.
3-point play, the big dog. Let's go over to BK, who is picking the Cowboys minus 4.5 at home against the Giants. T-Bone, upfront and honest, that to me screams trap game.
Really?
I think everybody is going with the Cowboys for how good that offense looked. I know they're playing Russell Wilson again against the Giants, but I don't trust Dallas as a team.
To try and win this thriller. Aubrey got it into overtime and now wins it. What a ball game. Cowboys in OT.
Hey, you got the win, man.
Yeah, no, I didn't. Got the W, did not get the cover. So the frustrating part about that, Alex, A, they were the better team, and they had no business being in as close of a game as they were, but that's what I get for trusting the Dallas Cowboys. B, I'm in a bunch of survivor pools this year. No, I didn't take Dallas.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people did, though, and so I was actually rooting for the Giants by the end of that game, if nothing else, for him to miss that kick, because then time expires, they don't win in Survivor. You have to win to advance. If your team pushes a tie, you do not get to continue on to the next week. So I was actually rooting against the Cowboys by the end because they had no chance to cover.
I don't blame you on that.
Yeah, just a weird game, man. And Russell Wilson looked amazing.
That game is what you guys were afraid of in week 1 when I took the Commanders, who I forget, they were playing the Giants, to where we said it was a division opponent and it's like it might be close. This was the one that it was like, man, Cowboys don't have a defense, and this feels like one of those games that Russell Wilson goes off. I didn't think 4 touchdowns in 450 yards.
Yeah, he looked awesome. And Malik Neighbors had a few unbelievable grabs. Like, the Giants' offense looked, Scatabo had a couple of moments. Their offense looked good. Now, that's also a discredit against the Cowboys, who
Cowboys defense does not look very good.
Fun game to watch, if nothing else. But missed that one. End up going 2-1 on the week. Only get the 3 points though because I missed the money ball there. So I am up to 3 points on the 2 weeks thus far. T-Bone is at 5 points through 2 weeks thus far.
Yeah.
Alex has 11, running away with this thing. So through 2 weeks, 11 for Alex, 5 for T-Bone, 3 for me. We'll give you our picks for week 3 coming up on Friday. Coming up next, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers here on BK and Ferrario. Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to select entries and win money all season long. You can play right now in Missouri, and Alex is not just limited to football. I did a boxing match over the weekend, got a little cash off of that one. Baseball tonight as well, and that's what I'm going to. Cardinals versus the Reds. Yes, they are still playing. I've got Andrew Abbott higher than 5.5 strikeouts. I've got Ellie De La Cruz higher than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, and I've got Jordan Walker lower on his hits, runs, RBIs total. I've got all of that over on the Underdog app. Put it all together, could win 4.5 times my money.
It's simple to use. BK laid it out for you. You get your entries right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. You could play with as little as $1. Also, get creative with it. Send us a screenshot of the stuff that you pull off some victories on with
at
that
BK Sports Talk. Download the app, use the promo code BKO, and then send us your screenshot of what you're playing for tonight.
Yeah, hashtag BKO, and that's the promo code, and you can score up to $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. promo code BKO. Download the app today. Millions of fans have already won billions making plays on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. From the 636, guys, there's no way BK had a play on Underdog for boxing. I did. I watched the boxing match over the weekend, Canelo versus Crawford.
Yep.
And
it's a hell of a fight.
It was. And we were in the Eastern time zone, so it didn't come on until like 1. So we had nothing else going on that evening. We were just hanging out in Vermont watching the game, or watching the boxing match, rather. And I had it going the full distance. I had Crawford lower on his punches landed. Ended up hitting that over on the Underdog app.
This guy getting a boxing match on there. I love it.
That's right. All right, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. From the 314, which college quarterback has been the biggest disappointment thus far? Lagway, Sellers, Manning, Klubnik, etc. Who's been the biggest disappointment for you? For me, I would go Sellers, because you guys know how much I love Lenora Sellers. I thought he would have taken a bigger step than this. He looks, so far this year, when healthy, and he wasn't healthy over the weekend, he basically looks like the exact same guy that he was the first time that I saw him play college football. Mm-hmm. There has been very few steps taken, and some of that is sure the supporting cast. Some of it is just him not taking the steps. So he's the one for me, but that's because of my own expectations coming in.
And I think everybody's answer would be Arch Manning, and it's hard for me to say that because it's the expectation that other people placed on him and hyping up for somebody that had not played college football an entire game. I think he's up there, but DJ Lagway is another one. I was expecting...
He's been terrible.
Yeah, I was expecting Florida to at least be somewhat competitive. I mean, he looks like a liability every time he drops back. T-Bone was making the joke yesterday about how the quarterback's got to tell him which team he's throwing the ball to. So I would probably say Lagway, mostly because the Arch Manning stuff was just way overhyped.
I can't believe College Game Day is going to that game this weekend.
I know. What a terrible selection.
I don't understand. Miami, sure, I get the appeal there. Florida's terrible. That's not a good team. They're probably going to fire their coach. That's the biggest storyline with Florida football right now, is if or when their coach will be fired. I can't believe that's what Game Day chose, but whatever.
Yeah, why would we want to go to like Columbia, Missouri? You know,
well,
they don't have their quarterback, man.
Yeah,
it's not fun anymore.
It still, I think, would be a better game than what we're going to see this week from Miami and Florida. But yeah, I would say it's either Lagway or Sellers for me as the biggest disappointment.
All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line from the 314. Alex, this one's for you. Can you see Dvorsky becoming more of a trade piece instead of a building block for the next year or two?
There's a chance. I would have it as a very low chance. I think for Dvorsky, the reason why you stick with him as long as possible is because he does have legit second-line center upside. And I watched most of it over the weekend in the prospect tournament. He still looks slow, but man, he can see the ice better than anybody on this roster. The scenario where I could see it potentially changing is if Stenberg develops faster than Dvorsky. Because Stenberg is probably a winger, but boy, does he got the playmaking ability to be a center. So I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But yeah, I think there's a small chance that Dvorsky could be a trade piece.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line from the 314. Guys, do you think that the Nico story with Tennessee changes the future of NIL decisions by players? He's been awful at UCLA. They're 0-3. They just fired their head coach. Meanwhile, Tennessee and its quarterback look great. I think this was a pretty unique story. I also think it can absolutely be seen as a warning sign to players. The grass is not always greener on the other side. I understand to a degree, at least, what Nico was trying to do here. A, he wanted more money, sure. B, that Tennessee offense doesn't prepare you for the NFL. That's just true. Think about all the quarterbacks that have come through that Art Briles system, the spread it out, run and gun style. And now think about the number of those quarterbacks that ended up in the NFL and had long-term success. It doesn't prepare you for that. So if that is what he was looking for, I get it. That being said, what it does is prepare you to have a hell of a lot of success at the college level. There's a lot of success stories of quarterbacks putting up crazy numbers and probably getting paid a good amount of money in part because of that in those systems. And if you're Tennessee, you don't have to pay your quarterback God only knows how much money because your system is the star in that offense. So everybody was looking out for their own self-interest in this story, and it ended up with Nico making a bunch of money, but getting into a really terrible situation.
Yeah, well, and your draft stock drops too. And I don't know what his draft stock was prior, but I mean, when you make this decision, now it's absolutely gone. But when you make this decision, sure, you're getting the money, which sometimes can be great. But if you have NFL aspirations, that decision could basically wipe those away. And that money only gets you so far when you're in college.
Mahomes' long buddy says Peyton Manning went to Tennessee. He had a pretty decent NFL career. Correct. He didn't play in the.
I don't think they were running that system.
That was like what?
That was like a pro style.
I wasn't doing a
then.
decal thing there. I was talking about like the specific offense that they run with Josh Heupel in charge. It was
the same thing.
It was the issue that Drew Lock had with that offense. Drew Lock wanted to be in more of a pro style offense to help prepare him for the NFL game, and that's when they ended up going to the Derek Dooley offense. And the Dooley offense wasn't as good, but it helps to prepare him a little bit more for the NFL. So that's the idea behind it, even though obviously it has been a disaster in terms of its effectiveness. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll get into Bet It or Forget It. But next, Gus Malzahn walked so that Eli Drinkwitz could run. I'll explain what I mean by that next here on 101 ESPN.
They go right back to him. Why not? Couple of missed tackles. Ahmad Hardy is gone. Touchdown Mizzou. 71-yard run. Ahmad Hardy.
That's what it sounded like over the weekend. Ahmad Hardy with a huge run, and my God, is that guy good at football. I thought he was going to be good for Mizzou. He has been so much better than I could have possibly anticipated. Is it 450 rushing yards through the first 3 games?
I think
did I
that's
see that right?
Yeah, he's got the most in the SEC.
And like almost double second. It's crazy the numbers that he's putting up so far this year. But it's not just him, Alex. This is Eli Drinkwitz at his best. Eli Drinkwitz, we have some fair questions about him. I would say at this point for me, most of them have been answered, and they're generally getting positive responses. By the way, if they win on Saturday, I saw Gabe DeArmond mention this over the weekend. If Missouri wins on Saturday, it will be the best, I think it's 31-game stretch in the history of Mizzou's football program. They have a chance to be able to do that.
Hasn't he only lost like 6 or 7 games or something like that since he's been with Mizzou?
Well, over the last few years, yes. But the running game has been the driving force behind it. And this all goes back to, this is what I mentioned going into the break, Gus Malzahn walked so Eli Drinkwitz could run. Gus Malzahn was the guy that Eli Drinkwitz learned under. He was with him at Arkansas State, and then he was with him at Auburn, and that's where Drinkwitz has a lot of his, ideas in terms of what the running game should be, what it will be, and really what it has been for Mizzou in recent seasons. Tyler Beatty ran for 1,600 yards in 2021 in this offense. We all remember what Cody Schrader was able to do, running for 1,600 yards in this offense in 2023. And then last season, when the running game dipped a bit, Nate Noel and Marcus Carroll combined for 1,300 yards rushing last season. Now it looks like they're potentially going to have another 1,600-yard rusher, which will mean 3 of the last 5 years they had one of those things. That's uncommon. That's incredibly uncommon. Alex, Drinkwitz gives you one superpower as an offense. If you have a capable runner and he stays healthy for the season, he will rush for 1,500 yards. There are very few other coaches that have ever been able to say that at the collegiate level. Gus Malzahn was one of them. When that guy was your head coach, you could have some questions, and the recruiting became an issue for him at times, and UCF, it didn't go as well. A guy puts together a hell of a running game. You see Florida State a couple of weeks ago? That was Gus Malzahn. That is what Eli Drinkwitz brings to the table, and the longer that we get into his tenure, the more and more I appreciate just how good his running scheme is.
Well, and to that point, the crazy part about all of this running game dominance is what's been the biggest question mark other than quarterback with Mizzou since Drinkwitz has been there. I feel like we always talk every season about, I don't know what the offensive line is going to look like. You see it continue to get better, but the running game has just been dominant from start to finish. And to your point at the beginning of this segment, BK, the amount of questions we had on Drinkwitz does really feel like you've answered all of them. And a lot of this is stemming from how dominant his running game has been, but the questions around the quarterback and can he find his own guy and turn him into the elite player that you need him to be? Well, he's checked that box. He delegated the offensive decision makings a couple of years ago where he was making them himself so that he could go out there and really he can divide and conquer with roles for the team, and that's paid off. But the running game has remained the constant for Mizzou, and it's a huge credit to Eli Drinkwitz for identifying the talent, growing that talent into what you need it to be. But on top of it, your offensive line always seems to be a question, and they still have one of the better running games in the SEC.
Mahomes long body on the text line, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. Have they played anybody, BK? Easy to run all over nobody.
I knew
that was sarcasm, wasn't it? That was sarcasm.
I knew that was what Mahomes long body was going to say.
I think that's sarcasm.
So here's the thing. Mizzou's not the only team that's playing lower level opponents, right?
Yeah, everybody is.
With that? A lot of teams across college football have played a similar, if not worse, schedule than what Missouri has thus far. And by the way, Ahmad Hardy barely played in the first half of that first game of the season. Most of his rushing yards have come in the last 2 games, in which one of them
didn't play for a half.
Was against Kansas when he ran for 112 yards, and then this past one he ran for 250. That's hard to do no matter who the opponent is.
Done by the third quarter.
He was running through people. That run that he had that went for, I think, 40 yards, where 2 defenders were on him, and then he uses a third defender who's coming to tackle him to basically shake off the other 2 defenders. It was insane. This guy's special. I got this for you. Here's a stat. There have been 10 Power 5 running backs in the last 5 seasons that rushed for at least 1,600 yards. 10 of them nationwide. Missouri boasts 2 of them. They are the only team in the country since the 2021 season that has multiple running backs that ran for at least 1,600 yards in a season. It was Cody Schrader and Tyler Beatty, and it appears that they are on their way to a third being added to that list. Again, no other team has more than one such instance of a running back rushing for 1,600 yards. This does tell a couple of stories. One, when Drinkwitz has a guy that he trusts, he will ride the hell out of him. And that is not something that a lot of teams are willing or able to do across college football. You look at Cody Schrader, he had 276 carries. Tyler Beatty, 268 carries. This past weekend, Ahmad Hardy had 25 carries. The week before that, 25 carries. He is already up to 60 through 3 games. So he's on pace to do what we're talking about here. That's what it requires. You have to really trust a guy, and then they have to go out there and produce at a ridiculous rate, rushing for like 7 yards a carry. Hardy's capable of that. Very few runners are. This Eli Drinkwitz offense this season, it looks like it has one of the best running games in the country right now, and that might be enough. In 2025, given what we've seen across college football, where the quarterback play is not what anybody expected it to be, being a dominant run team with a very good defense, and I'm now comfortable saying this is a very good defense, that might be the kind of recipe that gets you to a college football play.
Especially in the SEC, where we talked about this yesterday, and we've talked a lot about it. There's no great team in the SEC right now, so it allows you that opening to get in, depending on what you do against stiff competition.
Can I ask a quick question on this? We were going to talk Indiana versus Illinois in this segment, but we're up against it. I don't want to shortchange the time for that segment.
We'll get to it.
Bigger game for Mizzou. South Carolina, who they play this weekend at home, or on the road at Vandy on October 25th when they play there. Vandy, by the way, just last week beat South Carolina by multiple scores at South Carolina.
It's on the road at Vandy. I mean, the Sellers injury has a massive impact on it, although I think he probably could play. It's not going to be the same type of level that we saw last year. And you mentioned that earlier, BK, he hasn't been that guy this year. To me, Vanderbilt looks like the more daring team that you're going to have to go up against. Plus, it's on the road. So, yeah, I would say Vandy's the difference one.
I think I would as well, because I think Vandy looks like a better football team. I mean, hell, they just beat the crap out of South Carolina. Yeah. And yes, there was the caveat of Sellers leaving that game.
But Sellers was also trailing before he got injured.
Yeah, but Pavia has looked the part. Pavia's looked like the same guy you saw last year, which is a pretty good quarterback that keeps Vandy feisty, and it's on the road. So, yeah, I think I would agree. I think it's at Vanderbilt.
I think that's the right answer. I'll be at this game on Saturday, Mizzou versus South Carolina. I was really
that's a loss.
Hoping that it was going to be a game day game. I thought it was.
BK just wants to get on the TV.
From what I
he would
understand,
bring a sign, wouldn't he?
I think it was going to be the game day game.
Sellers
and then South
injury.
Carolina lost, and Sellers got hurt. And between those two things, it was like, all right, well, that's no longer a game that has a whole lot of intrigue. So then they ended up going the Florida versus Miami route.
What intrigue.
But yeah, it was there. Mizzou had it all ready to go, and instead, it's now a 13.5-point spread in favor of Mizzou. Mizzou's getting the treatment of a legit contender.
But they still haven't played anybody.
Okay.
Yeah,
and they still won't play anybody because the South Carolina game doesn't matter anymore.
That's the thing.
Just like the Kansas game.
People said, beat South Carolina, I'll believe in it. Well, now South Carolina isn't what we thought they were. And then UMass, that's not going to prove it to anybody.
Whoa.
Well, Alabama? Is Alabama now that team?
It's going to be the next one on the schedule.
Because of, one, brand recognition, and two, if they run the football like this, they will do what Florida State did to Alabama.
But what I'm saying is, will that be enough to convince people that Mizzou is actually good? Or will it be, hey, you haven't even gone on the road yet. You're now 6 games into the season. Every game has been at home, and Alabama isn't what they were.
I think Alabama, though, it's the brand recognition. Even if they're not, people will see that they beat Alabama, and they're still going to be a higher-ranked team by the time you play them. So people are going to say, oh, you beat Alabama.
I'm not giving you credit till you're in the Natty.
None of this matters. If you keep winning, you will continue bumping up the rankings, and who cares what the fast lane has to say about your team and whether or not they have played anybody
you got
just
credit
yet.
After the first win.
But, yeah, I think Mizzou's really good. They have done exactly what they should do if they are a very good football team, and each week they continue adding new elements to their game. This week it was the defense, man. The defense looked awesome in that game against Louisiana. Running game took it up another notch against them. Now they get to prove it again. Go out there and don't just win. Good teams win.
Great teams cover.
Got to go do that against South Carolina this weekend in a big game for the Tigers. Coming up in 15 minutes, Is this the year that Robert Thomas will finally get to 100 points? According to him, that is his stated goal heading into the season. We'll take a look at that in 15 minutes. Better to forget it next year on 101 ESPN. Three 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for Bet It or Forget It. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are betting it or forgetting it here on 101 ESPN. Guys, we were just talking about this a little bit off air. Bet it or forget it. The Packers should be the betting favorites currently to win the Super Bowl. They're not. As of today, the Ravens are the favorite. Bills are 2. Then the Packers tied with the Eagles. But should the Packers be the betting favorite?
I'd say forget that.
Oh, interesting.
I would have the Bills.
Really?
I would have the Bills as the betting favorite. Because Josh Allen has, done it in the playoffs, and he's literally just gone the kryptonite of Pat Mahomes, and I don't know what the Chiefs look like. I would still have the Bills as the betting favorite.
I would bet this. I think I think the Packers, have looked like a more dominant team on both sides of the ball, right? Their offense has been very impressive through the first 2 weeks. Defense looks unbelievable now that they've added Parsons. The reason I wouldn't go Bills is because the defense got bullied by the Baltimore Ravens, and their path to get there is a little harder compared to the Packers, which shouldn't play into if you're a favorite to win the Super Bowl, but it does help to get there to win it. I would say bet this. I think it should be the Green Bay Packers.
I am too. I think they're the best team right now. They have a good quarterback, a great coach, and a fantastic defense. And when you have those three things and a game wrecker defensively as well with Micah Parsons, I think that Micah Parsons trade might go down as one of the most significant trades of the 21st century. And the reason being, it could set them up for a 3 to 5 year run. Now, that's really hard to do. We don't see it very often. A lot of the time, we see it with a 1 year window, and it's like, oh my God, this team's going to be amazing for the next 5 years. And it doesn't go that way because so much changes and fluctuates year to year. But the Packers have a chance to be that team if they take care of all of their business on the field and off of it. But yeah, I think right now they should be the betting favorite. They're the best team in the NFL in my mind.
What other trades would fall into that, kind of like in that argument? What, Stafford to the Rams count?
Stafford.
Oh, Ramsey's a good one, too.
Other one, A.J. Brown. I mean, it changed the trajectory of the NFL.
For both teams, too.
Yeah. So those would be the big ones that immediately come to mind for me. Khalil Mack at the time felt as though it was going to be that.
It didn't.
Christian McCaffrey.
McCaffrey for sure. It had a chance to. I'm not sure it ultimately did, but it had a chance to. Because they went to a Super Bowl right after. He just hasn't been healthy for most of it.
Yeah. But he had that one season where, he was an MVP. He scored a touchdown in every single game.
We thought Russell Wilson at the time. That was going to be one, but it didn't. Yeah, those would be the ones that immediately come to mind for me. I'm sure there are some that I'm forgetting right now.
You're not wrong.
Coming to back to my mind. But
better to forget it, guys. Next hockey season, so not this one, next hockey season, better to forget it. Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid will both be playing on new teams.
Forget it. I don't think Sidney's going anywhere.
I would forget it as well. I think I agree. I think Crosby's the one that I would say is not going anywhere. McDavid, I could see leaving. It's Crosby that, Crosby came out the other day and just said, hey, I don't know where these reports are coming from.
His agent.
Love Pittsburgh. I'll forget this. I think he'll be the one that stays.
I'm betting this. I think Sidney Crosby gets moved either at the deadline or this offseason.
Wow.
I think as much as he loves Pittsburgh, that team is going nowhere good. And I think he could be playing for the Montreal Canadiens. And I do think Connor McDavid's not going to be back with Edmonton.
I don't know if this is something that's a popular statement to say. I hope they trade Sidney Crosby.
I do too. I think the guy, he's only got 2 more years. I don't know. Maybe he keeps himself in great shape, but he's 38 now. He'll be 39 this season. I want to see, it's good for hockey to see Sidney Crosby in the playoffs.
I would like to see him one more time get a chance to win a cup.
Just not in Colorado.
Yeah. I don't know where it'll be, but I think Montreal would be great.
Montreal would be awesome. Especially for the Canadians who haven't been in the playoffs since the pandemic, which one really didn't count. But yeah, I hope he goes elsewhere because
he's going to go to Florida. They're going to do like a 50% retention situation.
Maybe it'll be a 3-way trade, and the Blues will get Matthew Tkachuk in that 3-way trade.
Good.
Pittsburgh will just get picks.
Guys, better to forget it. We will see 2 new teams represent the AFC and NFC in the Super Bowl this year.
So somebody other than the Chiefs and the Eagles.
I'm going to bet this one. It's not going to be the Chiefs. We know that.
I just told you I have in the NFC. I think the Packers are making it. They were my team last year. I was a year early.
Been like 3 years early.
I think it's Packers-Bills. I think this is the year he beats the Chiefs.
I don't trust that Bills defense, man. I really don't trust that Bills defense. I don't trust Lamar in a playoff situation. I'm going to say forget it. I'm not there yet.
Chiefs are going to be back, and Taylor Swift's going to perform.
I understand people are completely out on this. Just give it some time, man. Give it some time. Let's get to mid-November. And if the Chiefs still look like this, they're not going to the Super Bowl, obviously. But as of today, I'm not willing to write them off completely just yet.
I would bet this. I'm willing to write them off as not being a team that gets back to the Super Bowl. They'll be a playoff team, I still think. I'm not completely there yet. They've got some major problems. I don't know if it'll be Buffalo that will break through because I do question the defense. Don't trust Lamar, but I do think somebody else will represent the AFC, and I'm kind of with you. I think the Eagles are being a little overhyped through the first 2 games.
They're still really good, man. I don't have a ton of big picture worries about them. The offense just looks clunky. I think they can fix that. They've got the personnel to be able to do that. It feels like they're not pushing the ball downfield. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's a schematic thing. I don't know if it's Like, it felt as though they knew going into that game against the Chiefs, as long as we don't turn the football over, we're beating this team. They're not good enough right now as currently constructed to beat us.
I said it yesterday.
So,
they feel like what the Vegas Golden Knights were for a little bit, where it's like they just know how to flip the switch. And by the playoffs, they could be like a 10-win team, and it's like, what is going on here? And then playoffs start, and it's like, yep, there's Jalen Hurts, there's Saquon. Good luck stopping them.
yeah, I want to see them in the second half. Once we get to the second half of the season, here's the start of that schedule for them. At Green Bay, home against Dallas, or home against Detroit, and then on the road against Dallas. That'll be when they're going to probably need to flip the switch there. So I'm not all the way out on them just yet either. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for Better to Forget It. Guys, better to forget it. Texas will miss the college football playoff this year.
Bet it.
Bet it.
I think they're going to struggle in SEC play mightily.
Yeah.
And they don't have that tough a schedule, but Arch Manning can't even, he doesn't look good against UTEP.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything to me to where I look at him like I could see signs of hope here if I'm Texas.
I know the AP poll doesn't matter. What, 8 for that team? I've seen 20 teams that look better than them.
Yeah. Well, we were complaining about who was I complaining about in the AP poll where I was like
Notre Dame, who's like top 10 without having a win.
Yeah, that was one of them. Well, who was Florida State was the one that didn't play, right?
Yeah,
and they moved up 2 spots. And then there was another team that lost, and I'm like, how did they move up 3 spots?
Yeah.
We made the general statement last week. The AP poll is a joke, and it shouldn't matter.
College football playoff committee, would you do your job from week 0?
It still frustrates. No, because even they look at it and say none of these teams have played anybody.
All right, so let's go through this real quick. Texas' schedule this year in the SEC. Florida, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Vandy, Georgia, Arkansas, Texas A&M. So they've got 4 legit games. Oklahoma, Vandy, Georgia, Texas A&M. Those 4.
I don't think they win any of those.
They have to win at least 3 of the 4 to get in, since they lost that game against Ohio State, most likely.
Yeah,
I don't think they win any of those 4.
And like as much as like I'm out on Florida, if Flagway like has one good game, he could beat Texas.
Better to forget it. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. From the 636, we started out the show with this. Better to forget it. Arenado will invoke his no-trade clause at least twice this offseason. Don't forget it.
I'm forgetting it because I don't think the Cardinals are going to go to him twice.
Yeah,
I think they're going to go to him and say, what's your list? Who can we trade you to?
Be
and
honest.
then they will figure out a deal with one of those.
I think he invokes it once, and then the Cardinals say, the hell with this. We're just releasing you.
I'll forget it. I don't think it will get out this time if he does deny 2 trades, which has kind of been the rumor this past offseason. I will forget this. I think they'll get the list, as BK said, and they'll make a trade with somebody if they can.
314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. Better to forget it. Indiana will beat Illinois this weekend.
Forget it. You can.
Did you see that offensive line in the first half?
They were sleepwalking. Okay?
Yeah, I'm forgetting it. I think Illinois is a better team.
I think this is going to be close, though.
Yeah.
I think the spread in favor of Indiana, if they do win, I don't think they're going to cover. It was 4.5. I think it's come down to 3.5 now.
4.5.
Okay.
5.5. Excuse me. It's moved up.
What the? They definitely aren't covering that.
Indiana's good, man. But they've played.
I was going to say, you want to talk about a team that's who have they played?
I have no idea. I would probably go with Indiana in this game. I will not be touching this in our pick'em. That's for damn sure. But yeah, I would side with Indiana in this game. I don't know how to have any kind of confidence in that just yet, though. It's a huge game for both teams. Huge game. Both teams are legit college football playoff threats this year from the Big Ten. And one of them, their odds of that go down significantly with a loss this weekend. This is a true flip game. One of these 2 teams is going to go in a very different direction after this one. All right, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service X line to get involved in the show. In 15 minutes, we'll dive into the junk drawer. But next, Alex, is this the year that Robert Thomas gets to 100 points? He says yes. Do you agree with him? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals fell to the Cincinnati Reds last night 11-6. Game 2 of their 3-game set is tonight. 6:45 will be first pitch. Andrew Abbott gets the start for the Reds. Michael McGreevy will get the start for St. Louis. This portion update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See him at Londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
All right, Alex. So earlier today, I was reading about some of the top players across the NHL, some of their goals for the 2025 season, and one of the players that was interviewed was Robert Thomas. And I was curious, all right, what is his goal?
To
What's
have
the number
fun.
one thing that he wants to accomplish in 2025? And he said the following in this piece, quote, "I'd like to get to 100 points. I think I was pretty close to on pace for that last year, minus an injury. So staying healthy and continuing to improve, I think that 100 points is my next target," end quote. Alex, we've been talking about 100 points and that threshold for Robert Thomas for a while now, really since the early portion of his career. And early on, I was like, yeah, I just don't know if that's realistic without him getting to 30 or more goals. And I don't know if that's realistic for him until he starts to shoot more. Well, he has started to do so, and the goal production has increased in the last few seasons. So it's felt more realistic. Is this the year that you think he can actually get it done? Does he have the shot? Does he have the mindset? And does he have the line mates that will make it possible for him to reach that 100-point threshold?
That was the key, what you just said there at the end, because I think the motivation is there for Robert Thomas. If he stays healthy enough, if you're motivated for 100 points, you know you got to score 30 goals, because frankly, nobody does it without scoring 30 goals. That he can do. He's got the shot. It's just a willing of taking the shots, and look at the amount of shots he's taken in the last couple of years. He does that now. Jim Montgomery's going to emphasize that. To me, it comes down to his line mates. The two guys that I hone in on and say, if Robert Thomas is going to do it, he's going to have to do it this way. Kucherov did it 3 years ago with Tampa, where he scored 30 goals and had 83 assists. Florida did it. Jonathan Huberdeau, 30 goals, 85 assists. The reason I bring up those two is, do the Blues have a 40-plus goal scorer on their team? Because that's the only way you're going to get there, man. When Tampa did it with Kucherov, Braden Point scored 51 goals, who was Kucherov's centerman. When Huberdeau did it, Alexander Barkov scored 39 goals in 67 games. If you've got a 40-goal scorer, you've got a guy who can get to 100 points.
But it has to be on that line. That's the thing. Like Jordan Kyrou scoring 40 goals on the second line does nothing for the production of Robert Thomas.
And that's why I don't think he gets there. Unless Jimmy Snuggerud and Pavel Buchnevich are both 30-goal scorers this season, then I can see it happen, but I'm more realistic in this sense that I think Snuggerud's probably 20 to 25, and Pavel Buchnevich is probably floating around 25 to 28. You'd have to be dominant on the power play to get there, because you can still put up points because you'll be playing with a Holloway or a Kyrou on a power play unit. But unless you've got a guy who could score north of 30 goals on your line, I don't know if you can get there. I think it's easy to say he's a 90-point player this season, which is the first time the Blues have had that since Pavel Demitra, if he gets to 90 points. But I don't think you're at 100 yet until you get a little more seasoning with Jimmy Snuggerud, or they play a Dylan Holloway with Thomas on that top line.
Some of this could be an increase in power play points as well. 2 years ago, he was 8 goals, 19 assists on the power play. That's 27 points on the power play that season. Last year, part of this is due to injury, 16 assists, only 3 goals on the power play, so that got 19 points for him over the course of the full season. If you get, let's call it 30 points on the power play, so a slight increase from where you were a year ago, you need 70 points at 5-on-5. In terms of his 5-on-5 goal production, he's been right around 15 to 20 every year.
Yeah.
So that means you're talking about 50 even strength assists for him to be able to get to this threshold if he continues, again, slight increase in power play points, roughly in line with where he was with the 5-on-5 goal production, 50 even strength assists.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. I think he could do that, though. I think he's got the line mates to do that at even strength. The power play is where I question him, because you've got 2 units that you'll be utilizing. The thing about Tampa is they got a number 1 unit, and it is a clear number 1 unit. When Huberdeau did it with Florida, they got a clear number 1 unit. The Blues don't, because my expectation is you're going to see a Thomas and a Buchnevich and, you know, a Bukestad, a Suter. Like, you're going to have 2 units that you can utilize, and they will utilize those. So that's the part that is hard for me. Like, when Kucherov did it a few years ago, he had 41 assists on the power play. When Huberdeau did it, when he put up his 100-point season, he had 38 assists on the power play. So you're talking about 35 assists on the power play on top of that 50 assists in the regular season.
30 points.
Yeah.
That's goals plus assists.
Again, if he's motivated, I've seen a motivated Robert Thomas, and it's a dangerous Robert Thomas. And he is one of the best playmakers in the game. It's just a matter of, are your line mates ready for the passes? And it is going to really come down to, can Pavel Buchnevich get to that 30-goal scorer? Can Jimmy Snuggerud do the impossible and score 30 as a rookie, which you just don't see a whole lot in the NHL? Those are the scenarios that have to be 100 points. I think probably you're a year or 2 away from 100-point season for Thomas. I think this is the year he does 90.
So here's a question for you, Alex. This is a follow-up on what we're talking about here. Because the goal scoring, I mean, there's only been 6 players that scored 30 or fewer goals and had 100 or more points in a season in the last decade. It's only been done 6 times. It's Kucherov, as you mentioned, Huberdeau, McDavid did it twice, and then Marner and Carlson, who's a defenseman who basically
it's really a forward.
It's hard to do. Is it possible that the gravity that will exist because of Jimmy Snuggerud's shot? We talk about this a lot in the NBA with a guy like Steph Curry. There's a there's a pull toward him because of how great of a shooter he is. Almost every defense gives extra attention, and that allows for lesser players to put up more production inside because you have a defense that's being stretched out when you have, especially in the past, Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. A lot of stretch for the defense, right? Reason I bring that up in response to the Blues going into this season, Jimmy Snuggerud is a shot the likes of which Robert Thomas has not often played with on that top line. So if Snuggy shows to be what we hope he can be, 30 goals-ish this year, it's a lot to ask for, but let's say that he goes down that path. Does that open things up for Thomas to drive down the middle and maybe to become a 35-goal scorer this year?
Yeah.
It would surprise all of us, absolutely, but 100 points is you kind of need a surprise. You need something to emerge as either Snuggerud gets to 35 quicker than expected, or maybe it is Thomas that takes the goal scoring to the next level. Is that possible? Do you think that there's a chance of that?
100%. I think that's the avenue that also can happen with this. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I am fascinated with that line because I do think we see an uptick of Pavel Buchnevich's offense. Because the last time Pavel Buchnevich scored 30 goals for the Blues, you remember who his line mate was? Vladimir Tarasenko. And everybody's focused on that Tarasenko shot. Now you got Pavel Buchnevich opening up. So Snuggerud's one-timer and Snuggerud's threat to score with just the flick of the wrist will open up opportunities more for Pavel Buchnevich and Robert Thomas. I think Robert Thomas is a 30-plus goal scorer. But Robert Thomas has to shoot the puck more than pass the puck. And that's the part I don't know if it's in his mindset. He's going to have all of the opportunities, specifically on the power play. If you've got a Holloway with a one-timer and a Snuggerud with a one-timer from the other flank, goalie's not going to know where he's going. So it's just going to come down to, will Thomas shoot the puck 200-plus times? Because if he will, then yeah, I think you could see a guy that could get to 32, 33 goals, but it still remains to be seen kind of what the impact of Snuggerud is. This is the understanding that Snuggerud's going to be there all season. And I have gut feelings that you're going to see Snuggerud have his ups and downs, which will dip him down to a second or a third line. And now you're back to that carousel of wingers with Thomas.
Before we get to the junk drawer on the other side, there was a piece over the weekend from JR over on The Athletic on the training camp battles. And maybe one of them is that top line. He mentioned Jimmy Snuggerud battling for a top line opportunity. That's one that he's going to be watching at training camp. We'll be out there starting tomorrow at Centene, and then over the next couple of days, Thursday, Friday, actually watching what's taking place a bit out there at training camp. If you had to hone in on one battle that you think is most intriguing over the next couple of weeks, Alex, what would it be for you?
To me, it's that fourth line battle. It's that last everyday roster spot playing with Walker and Toropchenko, because I don't think it's safe to say Sundqvist is there every day. I wonder if a guy like a Carbonneau can make the roster, or Dvorsky make the roster, or if Lucic makes the roster. But I think that fourth line, and I know that fourth line from conversations with Jim Montgomery, had such an impact on the Blues' identity last year that everybody tried to play the way that Walker, Toropchenko, and Faksa did. That player is going to impact 5-on-5 play and penalty kill play. So that, to me, is the one I'm focused in on.
So I think a lot of these are things that won't necessarily be decided in camp, but more so early in the season.
Correct.
Like, I'm really interested in what happens at second line center. I'm very curious to see what happens there. I don't know if that's something that necessarily has to be decided going into opening night.
Yeah.
It can be dictated based on what the performance level is for Shin versus Suter over the first 20 games or so. So I don't know that it's something that I'm necessarily like locked in on in camp. The Mailloux conversation, I'm fascinated. I am fascinated to see what he looks like. I don't know what I'm really going to learn about that, though, at training camp. So it's not something I'm necessarily locked in there. I want to see him, but I don't know.
You're not getting answers on that until the end of the season of how his defense improves.
To me, it's third line winger. That's the spot that I'm honed in on is, okay, if we go into the season and it's Neighbors and Suter, who's the third? Is it Bukestad? That's fine. Is it Sonny? Okay. Is it Joseph? All right. Texier, maybe. Carbonneau, maybe. Dvorsky, maybe. There's a lot of options for that third line right winger spot right now, most likely. Who is going to emerge? Is it a by default situation that, hey, nobody really played their asses off in a way that it forced them into the lineup there? Or does somebody play so well at training camp and in the early portion of the preseason, they force their way into the lineup, and you have to play them as that third-line winger, and then we'll find out if it was the right decision or not. That, to me, is the number one thing I'm monitoring in the training camp is what does that look like?
Yeah, and that kind of...
Because that is a decision that has to be made by opening night on some of these guys.
That plays into mine, too, I guess, because I said the fourth line, because I'm just assuming Bukestad's probably going to be that centerman, and the fourth line you're looking for if Walker's the center. But I can absolutely see a scenario that if Dvorsky or Carbonneau make the roster, they're playing third-line wing, and Bukestad's your big Faksa replacement on the bottom line. That bottom six final roster spot, to me, is fascinating because I don't know if Matthew Joseph is a shoo-in for a roster spot on this team.
T-Bone, do you have one?
It's the same with you guys because it is one spot for, how many names would you say? There's six that they can kind of rotate in and out. And what I find interesting is, you know, how much are they willing to bring like a Carbonneau? Because you can get that 9-game trial if he really impresses. And he doesn't have to be here the whole year if you say, boy, 9 games overwhelmed. But there are, as BK has laid out before, there are other roster implications with that, to where if Carbonneau does make the team, now what do you do with like a Joseph and a Texier? Do you risk potentially losing them on waivers? Are you willing to play Dvorsky to start his NHL career on the wing and then kind of eventually mold back over into the center spot? Like, that is the one roster spot that I truly look at and go, I have no idea what they're going to do. They've got a bunch of decent options to look at here and some that have high upside plays, but that is the one that is really going to be the biggest battle in training camp for me.
Alex, did you see any Carbonneau over the weekend?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
He's a competitor. Now, the question is going to be, can you out-muscle NHL players? Like in the corners, you couldn't get the puck away from him against guys his own age. He's got a shot. He's got a one-timer, and he's a net front presence. Defensively, it was hard to tell over stream.
Yeah, that's not something you can really tell.
Texting with the play-by-play guy who did it for the Thunderbirds, Ryan Smith, he was saying, like, look, these guys are all raw defensively.
Sure.
But the shot plays, the hunger for the puck plays, the question's going to be, can you out-muscle a Shen in the corner? Can you out-muscle a Tyler Tucker in the corner? Because if he can, I'd say he's got the upper hand.
To be on
the roster, to at least get a 9-game trial. Because if the Blues coaching staff and front office loves him, and I mean, Tim Taylor was telling us, like, they really do like this guy. He's got a shot. It's just, it comes down to how do you perform against NHLers? Because you were the better of all of the minor league guys when you played in that prospect tournament.
Point. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
You have to pass each of these tests, right? He passed the first test, which is got to development camp and made Doug Armstrong go, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Second test was this past weekend. What do you look like relative to your peers again? And the answer was, all right, look the part. The next one is, all right, you're going up against grown-ass men that you're trying to fight for their job. Do you pass that test?
Yeah. And can you create offense on lines with a Milan Lucic or a centerman that's an AHL player? That's where you really get it. But talking with a few people that were in Minnesota, they said Dvorsky, Stenberg, and Carbonneau, along with Juracek, were the 4 best players on the ice in both games.
It should be.
It's what you want.
Yeah,
First round picks. It's what you want.
That's the way that it should be. He's Alex. That's T-Bone. I'm BK. As I mentioned, we will be out at the Centene Community Ice Center each of the next 3 days. Tomorrow, we'll do our media day stuff out there. We'll be able to talk to some of the players beforehand. And then on Thursday and Friday for the start of training camp. So be sure to stay tuned on 101 ESPN. We are going to have a ton of Blues content over the next 72 to 96 hours here on 101 ESPN. Yeah, Alex is excited.
We are back, baby.
Hopefully you guys are as well. Coming up in 15 minutes, what was the biggest success or failure that's come out of the Cardinals 2025 season? I think you're going to want to hear what ESPN had to say about that in 15 minutes. But next, the junk drawer here on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario with you to tell you about my friends out at Classic Air Care. Look, when it comes to your HVAC system, your furnace, maintenance is the most important thing to keep it going long term. Whether you got a newer unit or you're like me in my first home, I had a 25-year-old unit and I just wanted to make it work until we decided to move out. Classic Air Care came along and took care of that. Whether it was the maintenance agreement or the one thing that people don't remember is that you got to change your filter on these things. You're changing it probably every month, every 2 months to maintain that level of unit. You might even forget yours uses a filter, which is why Classic Air Care has a filter program. It's a subscription-based where you pay a monthly fee. They send you the filter. It shows up at your door, and there's the reminder of, oh, I got to go change this. That's how you maintain the unit, along with Classic Air Care's knowledgeable technicians. They've got hundreds of guys that are out on the road so that they could get to you within a 24-hour notice. They'll call you back. They'll schedule that. You get priority scheduling if you're a part of the maintenance agreement. Use the company that has been making people comfortable since 1926. Schedule online. Do me a favor and tell them Alex Ferrario sent you. Classic Air Care and ClassicAirCare.com.
I learned something about myself over the weekend, Alex.
Yeah?
Yep. I'm a water guy. More specifically, I'm a cool water guy. I don't think at this point in my life I'm a beach, go down there, have a Mai Tai, sit in the
kind of
sand, toes in the water. Like, that's not me anymore.
I thought you meant a water
at this
bottle
point
guy.
in my life, I think I'm a river streaming down the mountain. And
It is peaceful.
go drink a nice cold beer while looking out at the sailboats. That's my vibe.
So you're a freshwater guy is what you're
I'm
saying.
a New England water vibe guy. I think I would be a Washington, Seattle waterfront guy.
I'm that guy.
I am Cancun, I think I'm good. Miami, love your food. We'll definitely go there. Think I'm good on the South Beach idea. I don't know what that says about me, and I don't know when this happened to me,
Says
because
you're
I
a
was
grown-up.
once upon a time that guy. I'm not that anymore.
Says you're a
I've
grown up, man.
changed.
That's the relaxing vibe that you need. You just want silence. You want to enjoy yourself, and you just want to stay. That's why I love Michigan. We go to Michigan every year. There's nobody on the beach. It's fresh water. You just sit back and you enjoy yourself.
That was great, man. Right before, yesterday, we were there until 3:30. That's when our planes took off. So got to the airport like 1:30ish, and we had the morning/early afternoon to just kind of walk around in Portland, Maine. So we're walking around, and there's this beer shop. You can walk in, grab a beer, and then go across the street. There's a little park area. Guys playing the saxophone. Boats are
Great
coming in
instrument.
and out. Sailboats are all docked up right there. It was like a lobster fest is what they had
Did you
going
hear
on
seagulls?
the pier. Seagulls, yes, absolutely overhead. And, man, we opened a cold one, poured it into a red Solo cup, sat there for about 30,
I think
45
if you
minutes.
anything other than a red Solo cup, or you provided it yourself.
They had them for 10 cents at the place. We bought a couple of red Solo cups. It was the greatest experience.
Yep.
It was exactly what I needed in that moment right
Yeah,
there.
I'm telling you,
It's
man.
all I wanted in the world.
What it means is you don't need to go to the parties anymore. You don't need to go to the loud crowds that are enjoying themselves in Miami or on the beach in Cancun. I'm good with just sailboats and silence. That's what I love.
And it wasn't silent. The silence part I don't necessarily need, but
I need the silence.
a little bit more, definitely a slower pace. That's what I needed.
Definitely get that in Maine.
Yeah.
You're a grown up, man. Congrats.
I think Portland's a little different than probably what you have in mind. Portland's a little more like, you went to Austin, right? Texas? Mm-hmm. It's not as fast-paced and as busy as Austin is, but it's similar in terms of
Or
what's
doesn't
available.
feel as big as you would
Absolutely.
expect. Because Austin's like the third biggest city in the world, I think.
Did you-
Top 10?
What?
What?
Not in the world. In Texas?
Sorry,
It's
not in the world.
No, in the
biggest
U.S.
city in-
Sorry.
Austin is not the third biggest
I think it
city.
is. I think it's the top 10.
No.
I'm pretty
Let's
sure.
find out.
Dallas is. Houston is 4.
Let me ask chat.
I think Dallas is like 6. I don't know that Austin is a top 3 biggest city in the state of Texas. I think San Antonio might be slightly bigger.
Hold on.
Austin's
Chat's
not.
going to tell me.
It's not in the top like 50 biggest
Austin's not in the top
cities.
25 according to
Oh,
Britannica.
I was thinking of Houston. That's what I was thinking of.
I was gonna say.
Because
Houston and San Antonio and Dallas.
I went through just about every
Yeah.
big city in Texas on that.
You know what?
road
According to
trip.
Britannica, it's 13th.
Okay, see, that's not
It's
that
the
far.
4th biggest
Houston?
in Texas. No, Austin is the 13th.
Biggest city in the country?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the U.S., according to Britannica. In terms of population,
That's
it's
right.
the 13th biggest city.
Austin is huge. I mean,
Behind
it's got
San
fucking
Jose,
Texas University on it.
Fort Worth, Jacksonville, Dallas, San Diego, San Antonio, Philly, Phoenix, Houston, Chicago, L.A., New York.
There's no way.
Chat GPT says Austin, Texas could surpass Jacksonville here soon because it is
That's-
a up and coming city.
Okay, I'm shocked by this.
2024, it's 13th most
I
populated
was gonna
city.
say, I feel like I wasn't that far off when I said
Now,
top 10.
it's
Now,
the
fourth,
4th populated in Texas.
yeah. I was also thinking of Houston because I knew one of those was in the top 5.
All right.
Going back to
I undersold it.
Yeah, I see your tone problem. didn't get
I was
fixed.
going to say that didn't
Freaking
leave
the
you with
East
the
Coast.
sailboats. Did you get lobster or Maine?
Yeah.
Or lobster or crab up in Maine? Which one did you get?
Lobster.
You went
Lobster's
lobster?
a big thing up there. Yeah.
Oh man, I love me a good lobster tail. Fresh lobster tail would probably be incredible.
You like dip
It's
it in
great.
a tub of butter.
Have you ever had a lobster roll before?
Yeah, but like not like fresh lobster.
Sure.
Like fake lobster.
So there's hot lobster rolls, which is the main thing, and then there's the cold lobster rolls, which is more of like a Connecticut, lower New England thing. I prefer the cold one with the mayo. And you guys know,
You don't
I'm
like
not a
white
mayo
gelatinous
guy.
substance?
No, not at all.
I'm surprised by that.
You can add in some other seasonings on there. It's excellent, and I definitely enjoy.
From the 636, Bro said third biggest in the world. Justice for BK.
Yeah,
He misspoke.
No.
He knew what he was saying.
I was off by more than T-Bone was there, just so we're clear.
Yeah, justice for
I was
T-Bone.
more wrong than Tanner was. Now, Tanner thinking that Austin, Texas was a top 3
that was
city
a
in the
miss-
country. He was
That
clearly
was a
thinking
miss-
of Houston, but
was a
then
misspeak.
it did end up working out for him. Portland, I don't think, is a top 100 city in America.
Justice
So,
for T-Bone.
Yeah.
definitely much
Hashtag
smaller.
too much tone.
Yeah.
But the style, like the vibe of what you get in Austin, Texas, is kind of similar
Austin-
to like a tenth of that is
Yeah.
kind of what you get in Portland.
Because
Maine.
Austin
It's great.
doesn't feel big when you're there. Like, it looks big because there's kind of like almost 2 separate areas in Austin.
Correct.
And it doesn't feel as big as it actually is.
Somebody said Maine is mayo, Connecticut is butter. I'm pretty sure Maine.
Well, you've been wrong already this segment, big boy.
You don't even know what you ate, do you?
No, I know. I like the cold one, but
You had fish.
I think I would like the cold one. I think the only time I like lobster like tail hot would be like by itself. But if I'm putting it on a sandwich, I think I would prefer it cold. They had a place at Lake of the Ozarks, and I think at the Jay Bruner's, I think it's closed now if I'm not mistaken, but they had deep fried lobster tail.
they told me the wrong thing. This texter is correct. I learned that at a restaurant in Maine, and they told me the wrong thing. Maine is cold. Connecticut is warm. There you go.
Man, 0 for 2 this segment.
Well, I like the Maine version.
No, you said the Connecticut version.
I know, all I know, the cold lobster meat is what I prefer. I prefer it that specific style. And if that's Maine, that's what I prefer. Definitely recommend, by the way, if anybody is looking for a trip to take, you want something that is a relaxing, enjoyable trip, Portland, Maine is fantastic. I think Vermont is now one of the most underrated states in the country. It is difficult to get to, but once you get there, it's awesome. Stowe, Vermont is incredible with great breweries, one of the cutest little small towns you'll ever go to. And I think it's actually pretty good for kids as well. We did not take Luca on this specific trip, but I think that we would go back up there.
It's surprising because you did breweries the whole time.
You get the horse. Coming up next, what was the biggest success or failure so far from this Cardinal season? We'll tell you next year on 101 ESPN. ESPN.com wrote about the biggest success and failure for each team in Major League Baseball this season. For the Cardinals, they said the biggest success has been Matthew Liberatore. Their explanation starts with the following, quote, well, we had to put something down, end quote.
That was my thought process.
Frankly, even though the Cardinals have managed to stay around baseball's middle, this has felt like a disheartening season. And then it continues with the biggest failure, which is not any individual player, a coach. No, nothing like that. It's the entire approach to the season. Quote, nothing about St. Louis baseball has made much sense this year. If the Cardinals had truly reset, at least that would have meant a clear direction. As it stands, it's still completely unclear why the Cardinals didn't just try to build the best roster possible that they could for 2025. After this finally ends, the baton will be passed to Chaim Bloom, and perhaps he can point a more coherent picture. Let the Rayification of the Redbirds begin. Alex, for you, I want to start with the success, if you don't mind. We'll get to the failures. There's plenty.
Boy, his success is going to be tough.
They went with Matthew Liberatore, and if you wanted to go with that, that's fair. He's established himself as a starter, even if not a clear front end of the rotation starter. Do you have another obvious answer as the success story for the 2025 Cardinals? The biggest success of 2025?
I don't, because every success story that I would put in front of Liberatore, I can argue against myself and saying, yeah, but I still don't trust it. Like Ivan Herrera being a legit bat, it's good, and I think it's real, but I only seen it for one season, and he still was hurt for a while, and I didn't know what was real or what wasn't. Alec Burleson, great in the first half, tailed off a little bit towards the second half like he did last year. If I had, and I mean, I'm talking like I am squeezing this lemon for juice right now before I throw it away. I think a success, and people aren't going to like this, could be the manager, because for how bad this team was and you stayed close to 500 for back-to-back, that would probably be it. But boy, a lot of people wouldn't agree with that one, and I'm not even sure how much of a success that truly is.
Yeah, I think outside of Libby, because I kind of agree that one should be argued as a success. I would make an argument for Burleson kind of fighting his way to become an everyday player, because remember, he kind of got pushed to the outside last season. We weren't really sure what his playing time was going to be this year, and he's been able to take it and go. Same with Ivan Herrera, but what I have a tough time defining is like, how much of a success was this really for the Cardinals? Is, okay, cool, you developed complementary pieces when you're going into a rebuild. So, like, I don't know how much I'm supposed to really look at that and be like, yeah, boy, we really accomplished what we wanted to this season. Same with, like, Matthew Liberatore. Okay, cool, you developed another number 4 starter. What does that do for you? I guess, it's going to help you lose next year when he's, like, your number 1. But I don't know that there are many successes for them.
I would put Ivan Herrera into the success category. I think it's fair to put him there. Ivan Herrera's had a really good season, man. He's up to 16 home runs on the year, 800 and 830 OPS. He's done that in 96 games. 16 home runs in 96 games that's an impressive season, man. If you stretch that out over full year, you're talking about 25-ish home runs. And is that the cornerstone that you would build around? No, I do not believe that. He is not a superstar level talent. But can that be the type of player that you win with if he's your third best hitter? Yeah, I think so. Third or fourth. That there's at least potential for it. So I would consider him, for me, to be the biggest success story. And yet, I have no idea what position he's going to play long term. And he is still like the third or fourth best hitter on a really good team. So it's not, to the nth degree, it's not what we hoped that Jordan Walker could become. It's not what some had held out hope for, Nolan Gorman to become. You didn't get good answers on those two players individually, but Herrera, to me, is the biggest success stories that they've had. They have not been able to develop a bat like this. This would be the best one they've developed since Tommy Pham, probably.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say Carp. Yeah, Pham's probably the one.
Pham was really good. Pham was kind of this, right, early on in his career. If he was your best hitter, you probably didn't have a great team, but he had the 300, 400, 500 capability. He could hit 20 to 25 home runs. Like, all of that was in there, and then he had a little bit of value on the bases as well, which he's probably going to have 10 stolen bases this year, talking about Ivan Herrera. Doing that in 100 games is not nothing. So I would go Ivan Herrera. It's disappointing, though, that we can't say any of the names that we mentioned going into the season as being the more important ones. That's really where the bummer of the season comes from.
Tells you where this team's at and where these last couple of years have been at, why it feels like such a loss, because You were supposed to find the growth in these guys that you invested in over these last couple of years, and there has been zero of it. And like we talked about with Katie, you were officially at the point where the two guys that you had the biggest questions about with runway, it still feels like the Cardinals are like shoulder shrug with Walker and Gorman.
So let's get into that. The biggest failure.
I think it's their inability to connect with Jordan Walker and Walker not developing.
It's Jordan Walker.
I think it's Walker.
Yeah.
There's not a close second.
I agree. I would argue Gorman could be like the second.
I think this is just what Gorman is, though.
I think that's fair, and that's why like he can't be up there even like tied with Walker. I think it's obviously Jordan Walker and his failures because again, this year to me was not about becoming a superstar, right? It's hard to go from a guy that was really good, 20% above league average year one, falls off of a cliff, and then suddenly like you're the guy. The goal is stabilizing. And he's not shown any signs outside of like a couple, like 2 or 3 times, like a week period where you're like, oh,
It's gone
wow.
the opposite direction. It's been worse.
Yeah.
He's been worse this year than he was last year.
And I think you look at that and you go, man, that was supposed to be the guy that prevented you from going into a
Jordan
rebuild.
Walker has the same number of home runs and doubles, basically, this year as he had last year, and he's played twice as many games. That's not good. That's horrible. He has a .305 slugging percentage, guys. His slugging percentage is lower than what you would want for your on-base percentage. In fact, his slugging percentage is roughly the equivalent of Ivan Herrera's batting average last year.
Oof. Didn't need that one.
There's no hope here. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't generate hope in the future, but right now, I have nothing I can sell you on Jordan Walker. Nothing. He probably needs to be back next year. I think I would bring him back next year because there's no way you can sell this to other general managers. Like, hey, buy into the hope that we had 3 years ago. Like, that's not a good sales pitch. My guess is Jordan Walker will probably be back with the team in 2026, and I think he starts the year at AAA. And you hope that you can completely revamp his swing, and by the end of the season, he becomes a piece for you. But right now, this is as bad as it could have possibly gone for Jordan Walker.
Yeah, and
there's nothing there.
And see, I understand where you're coming from, but down that path, to me, I just think that's a failed project at that time. You've done the minor leagues enough with Jordan Walker. There's nothing that's going to change with him.
The thing is, like right now, he in that scenario, he wouldn't cost a roster spot. He's not costing you any money.
Oh, no, I'm with you.
You're getting no upside by trading him. I see no reason to trade Jordan Walker this offseason. You add nothing and you remove nothing. Yeah. So what's the point?
There's a place, but I think only it's going to have to be some type of package that maybe it raises it a little bit. But it's not one for one. Jordan Walker, you're not getting anything back in return. What I meant by when he goes to the minors, if he starts the season down there, he's officially into that category of I'm not checking to see what he does anymore because I don't expect any more growth. And if something changes, great. But I've done this minor league experience in AAA and AA, and it hasn't gotten any better.
It's the Zach Thompson experience. Zach Thompson got to that place prior to this year. This year was just the injuries, but prior to this year, where I was like, yeah, I'm not even going to check anymore. If he ends up emerging and becoming a player for the Cardinals, great. But he was part of the Memphis train where it was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You're the Memphis shuttle, and that's it. And for Walker, like he'll be next year where I don't know. Jose Firmino is this year. If I need you, great, you can come on up. But otherwise,
you forget when he's on the roster.
I think that's where he is right now. Yeah. And the difference is, I don't even know that he's a guy that I would be doing the shuffling with.
He's just down there.
You're down there. Get yourself right. We'll see you in July if you're ready by then.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like just do your thing, and eventually, like. I think the message to Walker should be, and it doesn't have to be this way. He could come back in spring training. He looks great and everything. We go about it.
I won't believe that, though.
I'm with you, but, I'll leave that open-ended. Realistically, hey, Walker, this is it, man. Because if it doesn't go well for you this year, if you go down there and you pout and you're upset because you didn't make it to the big leagues, whatever, it's your career that could be over at that point.
Okay. You remember what they did with Fernandez after his blow up in the first month of the season, and he was down there and he pitched well?
Oh,
no, they kept him down in the minors. No matter how good he was pitching, they said it was too small of a sample size for me to believe that what you did was fixed. I'm 100% with you, BK. If he goes to the minors before the start of next season, this isn't a, hey, if you're good in the month, we'll bring you back. No, we'll talk to you in July. We'll talk to you at the All-Star break, see where you're at, and if you're ready, then we'll make the decision. But you're not going to get this call up when injuries happen. We'll go with other guys.
By the way, Ryan Fernandez still broken. He's Alex S. T-Bone. I'm BK. Jeremy Rutherford,
broken.
Blues Insider next year on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Looking forward to seeing a lot more of this guy over the next few months. It's almost Blues season, and that means it is time to catch up with our friend, the Blues insider for The Athletic. He's Jeremy Rutherford joining us here on the show on behalf of the Cavalier and Thompson hotline. JR, what's good, man? You getting ready for the season?
Getting ready. Yeah, something my wife has never said. Looking forward to seeing this guy a lot more.
She looks forward to hockey season just like we look forward to hockey season, right,
For
JR?
different reasons, though. She gets rid of you. We get to see more of you, you know.
Yeah, she does. I remember back in the day when I covered the full schedule, like home, away, 41 road games. You were gone all the time. You had no idea what city you were in. And she would call and say, when are you coming home? And then I would be home for like 12 hours, and she'd say, when are you leaving again?
Well, JR, did you get to see, I should ask the question as opposed to assuming, I wasn't here over the weekend. Did you get to see the Blues prospects over the weekend and what they had to offer?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we were out there for a couple days, and obviously some big names from the past couple drafts with Carbonneau and Dvorsky and Otto Stenberg. Obviously, Stenberg had a great tournament with a goal and a couple assists, set up the game winner by Carbonneau. So, yeah, after a couple years of knowing that you're going to draft 16th and 10th and so on and so forth, the Blues building up that prospect pool with the draft picks they have. You can put the name and the faces together now and see a bright future with a lot of these guys.
Did anybody stand out to you? Did anybody stand out as clearly the best on the ice for the Blues?
Well, I think you got to look at those top names, first of all, when you look at Carbonneau. I mean, he's up there in that first game in Minnesota, and he takes it upon himself. He didn't like what happened to him there in front of the net, and he kind of does a WWF move. That's how old I am. I don't know if it's WWE or F or whatever it is these days, but, takes down the Wild player and then scores the game winner. But look where that pass comes from. It comes from Stenberg. And here's a guy, when I had to project the Blues lineup 3 years out a couple weeks ago in that article, I didn't have Stenberg in there. And kind of the reason I did was, they want to play him on the wing. He's listed as a center. I talked to him about that the other day. He played center in Sweden, but a couple years ago they switched him to the wing. What type of player is he? What's his ceiling? Is he a guy who projects to be a, middle six winger for the Blues? And so I didn't have him on that list, but he certainly had a good few days, not only at practice, but in the games against the Wild and the Blackhawks. And so I think he's definitely a guy that, even though we talk a lot about Snuggerud, Carbonneau, those guys, Stenberg's a guy to keep an eye on.
Jer, we have made it pretty clear that we believe it's a long shot for anybody at that prospect tournament to make this roster out of camp. But do you think that there's a slight chance for either Carbonneau or Dvorsky or maybe Stenberg to push the Blues to make that decision?
Yeah, I don't think so on a couple of those guys, and that doesn't mean, a guy like Carbonneau can't stick around for a little bit or even Dvorsky, but I think that the Blues have to do what they've said the past couple of years, and they said that's not to rush guys, put guys in positions where they can't succeed. And I think when you're talking about a team that can compete, we saw it the second half of last year and in that first round of the playoffs, that this is a team that can not only compete for a wild card, but maybe third place in the Central Division. And I think it's going to be tough when you look at bringing in two or three guys, or you already got a Snuggerud, 21, 22 years old, and have multiple young players in the lineup. So I think the plan that's probably best suited for these guys and the team is for Carbonneau to go back to junior. Depending on how Dvorsky plays in camp, does he go back to Springfield, get some time, and then come up later on, or does he stick now? And then with Stenberg, last year just being his first year in North America, I think it's still going to take him some time to figure things out. But out of all those guys, I would think that Dvorsky would have the best chance of playing any games with the Blues.
JR, we were talking about your piece earlier today that you put out, I believe, over the weekend on the top camp battles, the positional battles that you're most intrigued to see. If you had to narrow that down to one, what would be your top one that you would hone in on going into training camp?
Well, we talked about Snuggerud, I think, last week. And so if I'm going to pick another one, I think that Logan Mailloux, how does he look? The Blues have said that basically it's his job to lose, so he's going to come in and probably start out in that third pair with Tyler Tucker. It's a good young pair. Guys can move the puck. We saw a little more offense from Tucker last year, and they're also physical. And so I like the possibilities for that pair. But if Mailloux really shows that he belongs, and can he take some ice time from Justin Falk? We don't know. Obviously, Falk, a veteran, a trustworthy guy in the Blues' eyes. So I just would like to see throughout camp how Mailloux looks And then if he can grab some more, great. If he can't, I think having just 8 games under his belt, people are going to understand that it's going to take some time. But I just think that when you think about Logan Mailloux and the big trade that the Blues made, people don't quite know what to expect. We haven't seen his game yet. And so I think that's something, a camp battle, that a lot of people are going to be paying attention to.
You've gone through plenty of these, JR, these training camps going into preseason, and anytime you talk to the players, they'll always say, like, you need a couple of games in preseason to really feel like you're ready to go for the season. As a fan, when you're watching these training camp practices or when you see these preseason games, is there something you focus in on, or is there some type of amount of games played before you start to really see a clear vision of what the Blues are trying to do with their roster?
Yeah, I think it'll take some time. First of all, to answer your question about camp, as long as they don't do that beep drill, which I don't think they do it anymore, but used to have that out at the mills where you had the horn sound, to start the drills and the races and things like that. And, here you are in the middle of September. The weather is still pretty nice outside, and you're listening to, 2,000 beeps in practice. So,
and let's also appreciate we're not at the mills for any of those practices anymore where you can't even see half the ice.
Yeah, all due respect to funeral homes, but that was like going to a funeral home every morning for practice. So at least we're at Centene, where it's a little bit more active. But no, I think with how things unfold in camp and then the early part of the season, I think that Blues fans have to be thrilled with the way it's developed, unfolded with the retool. Because, hey, I've been the first to say this. There are a lot of questions. Which direction are they going? They're picking in the muddy middle in the draft. They're getting prospects who may or may not be impact players in the first round. And now I think you can look at the situation. This is obviously the way that Doug Armstrong saw it a couple of years ago. Hey, we don't want to strip this down to the studs. We want to stay competitive. Well, what did they do? They could have beat the Winnipeg Jets in the first round of the playoffs. And in the meantime, they get another good young player in Carbonell. And so now I think it's all starting to crystallize. So, regardless of what happens here in camp, Carbonell might look good, he might not. I don't care. He's still got a bright future. We can see the skill, we can see the physicality. Hey, people might be wondering if Dvorsky isn't in the lineup now, what's taking him so long? Is he not going to hit? Well, yeah, he's still 19 years old and was a great player in the American Hockey League last year. So, I think regardless of what happens early in the season, things are still set up for this NHL team to compete and for a lot of these younger players to be really good.
Hey, JR, we're looking forward to seeing you out there at Centene over the next few days as the Blues kick off their training camp for the upcoming season. We wish you nothing but the best, man. We'll talk with you out there over the next few days.
Yep, talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.
As Jeremy Rutherford, Blues Insider for The Athletic. Appreciate his time, as always, here on 101 ESPN.
We're going to have a new episode of the podcast tomorrow morning. Me, JR, Donnie, and the Joe Vitale. Ooh. So you want to get hyped for preseason and training camp? Joey V's the guy for you. Find it? Well, you can find that over on a YouTube channel at 101 ESPN STL T-Bone. You're not T-Bone. You're T-Bone. BK.
Anywhere else I can find it?
You can find it wherever you get your podcasts.
So I can get the audio version or the video version.
And you can get it on the easy-to-use 101 ESPN app.
Can I subscribe?
You absolutely should subscribe. And you know what you should also do? You should click the alert button on your YouTube channel so that every new episode that drops, it goes ding, and then you just go straight to it.
It'll just let me know.
Yeah.
And then I can immediately see
wherever
that there's
you're
a brand new Last Minute Blues podcast or Redbird Report each and every time that they are released.
Yeah, and you could be sitting at your office in the middle of the day feeling like, man, what a drag. I just want to get through this day.
202?
Yeah. And it's just like, boom. Got it. New episode. Joey V.
Tomorrow over on the YouTube page. Be sure to check that out. Subscribe, rate, and review. Do all of the things that will help you out. By the way, another thing that'll help us out here on BK and Ferrario. I'm just going to be full disclosure with you guys. We need you to help us out with Underdog. They're an awesome partner for myself and Alex Ferrario. And if you have used the promo code BKO, that's promo code BKO, and because of that, you got you played your first $5, you got the $50 in bonus funds. If you use that on your app, go ahead and send a screenshot of it to myself and or Alex Ferrario on Twitter, and be sure to
Tanner Hendrickson here, the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals fell to the Reds last night, 11-6. Game 2 of their 3-game set is tonight. 6:45 will be first pitch. Michael McGreevy will be on the mound for St. Louis. Andrew Abbott will get the start for Cincinnati. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. How's your fantasy league going so far this year, boys? We're doing great in Adam Wainwright's league. I want that to be known.
we?
We're doing great.
Awesome. Look at us go.
Second place in the league. I think we're like top 5 in the entire.
Do we win green
50...
seats if we win that league?
I don't really know.
I think you get a Wayno album signed.
I think it's
Bolo
all
tie?
for like bragging rights. I'm not entirely sure.
You got to win something, right? Well,
Can we have a moment of honesty? I didn't know we were doing one of
oh,
those.
I knew. It's
We
just
are,
BK
yeah.
does it all.
I got you.
That checks out.
My one league is fine. Running backs are a little light, but it's okay. I 1-1, third most points in my league, which I hate that when that happens when you're 1-1 and you've scored that many
Frustrating.
points.
T-Bone.
Right, T-Bone? You've been there.
Yeah.
He scored the most points in the 101 league, and it is 1-1.
I loved my draft in the 101 league, and I was like, I'm going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And then Joe Burrow's turf toe basically ended my hopes.
That sucks.
Now I'm relying on Drake May to carry me to victory because I've got a couple of. I got CeeDee Lamb. I've got Travis Etienne. I've got Josh Jacobs. I'm trying to think. I have another wide receiver as well.
I like my team. Unfortunately, I have Omarion Hampton, and that's sunk my season so far. I have Omarion Hampton and Xavier Worthy, and between the two of them, not going
quarterback?
super well. Well, it was Justin Fields, and then he got hurt and got me like 2 points this week.
I was going to give you a running
Felt
back
really
for Justin
good after
Fields.
week 1, though.
Yeah.
Felt really good about it. Now it's Caleb Williams, so
I feel great about my
God.
team in our league.
he's been good in fantasy so far.
Yeah, because he has to throw so
I was
much.
gonna say, because he heaves the
Terrible
ball
in real life, but he's been good in
Hopefully
fantasy.
Drake May can continue what he did in week 2 the rest of the season.
All right, let's get through some of these NFL quick hitters. You guys ready?
I'd rather
Do you want
talk
them really
fantasy.
quick or you want me to be like, play it out a little bit?
You do you.
You're not going to believe that.
Let's start it with this one. Do you guys believe that the Kansas City Chiefs at 0-2 will make the playoffs this year?
Yes, because the rest of the teams in the AFC I don't believe in.
That's fair.
I don't think they're winning the division, though. I think they're getting in as a wild card team.
That's where I am. I think they're still going to be able to make the playoffs because I agree. The rest of the AFC
It's like
is
3
not very
teams
good.
and then
Yeah, and it really helps them that the Bengals are one of those teams that was going to be fighting for one of those spots is now probably done with Burrow's injury. I think they make the playoffs. I don't think they win the West, though.
Could we go through our AFC predictions as of now? The teams that we think will make it to the playoffs. You don't have to do like winning the division versus wild card. I'll go through a few of them real quick because I think these are the easy ones. If you guys agree with the Chiefs, we'll go ahead and throw them into this mix. I think the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens, we would all agree will make the playoffs, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Beyond that, do you have Chiefs as well? The Chargers.
Yes.
Do you think they are making the playoffs this year?
Yep.
That is 4. We need an AFC South winner. That would be the 5th. Who do you have currently as your AFC South winner?
I've got the Colts.
Do you?
I've got the Colts as well.
Do you?
Going defense.
I don't really buy it, but
Yeah, I don't either, but
they're the most
coach
impressive
slash-
of the garbage candidates. the
Coach
AFC
slash
South.
better playmakers, better defense than the Jaguars, and the Texans are just in shambles.
I'm going to stick with my Jags pick because I've had no reason really to push myself off of that thus far, but I respect the Colts pick. It's inspired. All right. You have 2 spots left. Who would you go with for those 2 spots?
Those 2. I think if I were to say today, it would be the Steelers.
Oh,
I know. And
I'm not saying you're wrong, but
I don't know who the 8th team is, to be honest with you. Steelers and then any of Patriots, Broncos, Raiders, Bengals, if for some reason Browning finds a way to keep themselves alive, or Jaguars.
So my other 2, I would go Broncos right now.
That's one of mine.
They haven't looked great, but
don't trust that team.
I'm just going to bet that the defense figures it out, and maybe that's a risky bet. And I think I agree. I guess I would go Steelers. The thing that scares me about them is typically when I watch the Steelers, I go, "Oh, this is the worst football I'm watching." They suck defensively.
Yeah, they do. But what do we always know about their coach?
That's the thing. I'm giving Tomlin the benefit
You're
of the
out
doubt.
because you don't like Aaron Rodgers.
That dude is afraid to take a hit.
Wouldn't you
afraid.
be?
Yeah, but here's some of their schedule coming up.
He's
Minnesota, That ain't going to go well if he's afraid to take a hit.
Yeah, but the Minnesota can't score.
Yeah, but they will beat the ever-living hell out of him.
Just run the football.
Cleveland, they could lose that game, dude. They could. Green Bay, Indy, at LA, Buffalo, Baltimore, at Detroit, Baltimore again. That team ain't making the playoffs.
You're making great arguments, but show me a better team in the AFC that's going to make it.
I don't know if they're better, but I could show you teams. Are we sure that the entire AFC West isn't getting in?
I thought about. I just can't picture the path for.
I mean,
all
it'd be
four.
tough, but
I haven't seen enough of the Raiders to make me believe in that. Their defense isn't that good. Their offense hasn't been break wide open style.
One of the main reasons that I wanted to get into this conversation. Let's tie it back to the original question. For anybody that is freaking out today, or over the last 24 hours, about the Kansas City Chiefs no longer being any kind of a threat in the AFC, can you look at the AFC for 2 seconds?
Amen to that.
I'm not trying to sell anybody that they've been good. I'm not trying to sell anybody that they are currently, you have to put them in your top 3 hierarchy in the AFC. That's fine. But this idea that, it's all over, they're missing the playoffs, they're going 7-10, let's slow down for a minute. Look at the rest of the conference before we make too many grand sweeping takeaways over where they're at right now. It's been bad. Hasn't been that bad. More believable 2-0 start. More believable 2-0 start, rather.
Did you say Shart?
Sure did.
You shouldn't have made a face. We would have never known.
The Colts or the Arizona Cardinals?
Boy, those are stinky options.
Yep.
Ask the question again, because I'm so honed in on Shart. What was the question again?
Arizona or Indianapolis, more believable 2-0 start?
Colts.
More trustworthy 2-0 start?
Indianapolis. I told T-Bone this yesterday. I do not and will not believe in this Arizona Cardinals team because you barely beat the New Orleans Saints and you barely beat, who did they just play? Carolina. You just barely beat and almost blew both games against 2 of the worst teams in the NFL this season. So I'm done on Kyler. I'm done on that offense. I'm done on Jonathan Gannon. I will not believe in that Arizona Cardinals team.
Agreed.
They'll be lucky to be 500 by the end of the year.
I'm going Colts as well. And I think it's twofold. One, I also just believe the AFC weaker, so they can probably lifts them up a little bit more than I expected coming into the year. But two, man, they just got better weapons. You look at Daniel Jones. Indiana Jones ain't anything to write home about. This is the old version of Indiana Jones.
Did he?
That's pretty good. You saw that somewhere for sure, but I like that.
Did you
That's
know
what they've been calling him in Indy.
Did you know who Indiana Jones is?
Oh, yeah. I've seen the movies.
Okay.
Yeah, big fan. Except for when Ford was 70 trying to play the character. But Jonathan Taylor, better piece than the running back in Arizona. Arizona's wide receiver Marvin Harrison apparently has a wrist injury. They've got Pittman there in Indy. They've got the better weapons around the quarterback. I believe in them more than I do Arizona.
I totally agree. Last thing here for NFL quick hitters. Do you care at all about this Tom Brady story? For anybody that's unfamiliar, he's obviously doing this significant broadcasting gig where he gets the Fox NFL Game of the Week. He's on the call for that. And then when his team is playing on Monday night, apparently he goes up, his team being the Las Vegas Raiders, where he's a minority owner for them. He apparently is now on the headset during the game, and he has 3 weekly calls with Chip Kelly as they go through their game plan for that week. So I don't know. Apparently he's very involved with the Las Vegas Raiders right now. Do you guys care about the story at all? I can't get myself to care one iota.
Yeah, I know why people are frustrated, but no, I just don't care. As much as Tom Brady has intelligence, Tom Brady's not the one throwing the football down on the field. And I don't think Tom Brady sitting in the box is going to make that much of a difference for his team.
I have a hard time understanding why I'm supposed to care about this. Can you sell me on it, T-Bone? What is the problem here?
Because I think he's getting inside information on some of these teams, and then he can take that and pass it along to the Raiders. I think...
How'd that work out?
There were some... Well, this week it doesn't work out because it's a team that...
What do you mean when you say inside information?
Well, he's in all these meetings, so he's getting these breakdowns with all these coaches, and he's talking with players and kind of what they're trying to do. And that's part of the conversation that goes on in that production meeting is he's asking these teams, hey, what are you doing? What do you think you can do to beat this team?
Sure.
Well, if he's getting that information, and then the next week, because I can't remember who it is, somebody plays the Raiders in 2 weeks. That there's speculation of that. I think it is the Fox Game of the Week this week. That he can pass that down to Chip Kelly and to Pete Carroll and share what those teams are doing. I think he can't be in those production meetings.
That stuff? Do they think that Chip Kelly is not watching the film and breaking down every second of what is taking place on the field?
You can get film, but he can also get small information for example, I think it was Marvin Harrison. One wide receiver is dealing with a wrist injury. That's something that he can pass
on the
along.
injury report.
Yeah, but they know that
They
stuff.
didn't pass that along. Arizona didn't until just this week.
But it has to now be passed along.
I think if I'm the Rams, I would not let him in my production meeting if he's going to be that involved with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Just think as a coach, like
the Rams don't play the Raiders this year, though.
I would not have him. It still doesn't. I don't care.
But-
He's too involved with the Raiders then for me to be giving him stuff on a production
that's
meeting.
crazy
call.
to just.
Then just understand, if you're one of the coaches that are going into these meetings, hey, don't give him inside information.
Well,
I just wouldn't talk to him.
and
I mean,
there's
that would
also
be my
people-
thing.
There's also plenty of inside information being delivered around the NFL.
Absolutely.
Like to sit here and act as if Tom Brady is like the mole inside the Raiders organization that's going to turn them into a Super Bowl champion is just insane.
I don't care about this. I really don't. I don't think that it's a big deal at all. I think it's weird that he's on the headset.
Yeah.
I think it's weird how involved he is with the Las Vegas Raiders. That part of the story to me is very interesting. And that's going to be a longer lasting story potentially than the broadcasting side of this, which I have no idea how much longer he wants to do this. He's pretty mediocre at it, I would say. He's fine. It just, there's not a whole lot
the
that's
Geno
added there.
Smith of broadcasting.
Yeah, he's the Alex Smith of broadcasting. I could take it or leave it. I don't even notice a lot of the time
Smith
that
is
it's
better than
him
Geno.
that's on the call. But on the ownership side of things, I find it fascinating that he's as involved as he is. If I'm an offensive coordinator, I don't want that job. You're telling me I have to answer calls from Tom Brady 3 times a week to explain to him why I'm doing something? I could do other things with my time. So that part to me is the interesting part. The broadcasting, whatever, dude. So I'm going to tell him that my third string quarterback, if he has to enter into the game, he's a runner, not a thrower. Okay, you knew that. This stuff I just don't think is all that.
These guys spend
compelling.
every minute of every day throughout the week watching tape and getting information on the other team. Tom Brady is not making no difference when it comes to the Las Vegas Raiders.
From the 636, it is weird to me that they changed the rules for him to be able to do this. Yeah, they wanted Tom Brady on the call.
Yeah.
That's it.
Roger Goodell and the NFL wanted money.
There's nothing more, nothing less. It is, they wanted to be able to say one of the greatest players, maybe the greatest player to ever play the game is on our Fox broadcast, which is the biggest game.
I think what we should do is we should embrace it, and we should just add another gate to Tom Brady's career. We'll call it Broadcast Gate.
The Rewind is next here on 101 ESPN. Hey guys, if you missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. That is all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
101 ESPN app, free to download, super easy to use, and that is sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. I was give today's show an 8.2 for what we were able to get through. A little too much Cardinals for my liking, Alex, but beyond that, I thought it was a really good show overall.
I'm going to go 8.6.
Okay.
I'm in a giving mood today, and it was nice to have the band back together.
T-Bone?
I'll go 8.4.
Because of the tone.
Right in the middle?
Yeah, I
You were
like
higher before the
in
tone, right?
junk drawer. I was. I didn't miss that problem.
He had a lot of 9s when you were gone.
I'm not surprised by that
We didn't
at
do
all.
any ratings of the show. I forgot every single show we did. Thursday was an ish show. Friday was the weekend. And yesterday I was on cold medicine.
All right, so to get out of here today, Cardinals back in action this evening, playing against the Reds. They'll be going up against Andrew Abbott. He's a very good pitcher, probably going to get a lot of strikeouts. Michael McGreevy on the mound, at least that part's intriguing. Last night, we did see 2 Monday Night Football games. Alex, who was the team that stood out to you most? Bucks Texans or Chargers Raiders?
Chargers Raiders was the game that stood out, and it was mostly because of Tom Brady in the booth. I think it's cheating, But we should talk about it. It's the Chargers and Justin Herbert. I think that's the best team in their division. I like the Buccaneers, but I don't think the Buccaneers are going to continue to maintain that if they keep giving up points. So Chargers were the best team out of the bunch.
I think the Bucs look like a legit playoff team. I'm so happy for Baker, man. He's had so many moments now over the last few years after being cast aside by the entire league. So kudos to him. The Chargers, though, to me, the story of the night. They appear to be a top 3 team in the AFC right now. It's the Bills, it's the Ravens, it's the Chargers. Those are the top 3. We'll see if Kansas City is able to work its way in there. But for right now, those are the top 3 teams in that conference. We'll talk more about the college football side of things. Certainly get T-Bone's early thoughts on the Indiana game as we go along this week. And we'll recap whatever happens tonight for Michael McGreevy and the Cardinals versus the Reds game. We will also be broadcasting over the next 3 days live from the Centene Community Ice Center as the Blues begin training camp this season. For Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. The Fast Lane's coming up next here on 101 ESPN.